Alright, there we go. Alhamdulillah. Dah. I am recording. Okay, Assalamualaikum puan-puan dan tuan-tuan. Sebelum we begin, kan baru cakap English kan tu sebelum we begin. Otak satu. Before we start, because all of you are early today. Alhamdulillah. Thank you for coming early. You get to ask a few questions before I begin. Sebab we got a lot of material to cover and typically orang datang workshop sebab ada soalan. Confirm datang workshop. Kalau tak ada soalan, tak ada workshop. Kan? Jadi, siapa-siapa ada soalan? Pasal faraid ke, wasiat ke. Kalau boleh answer sekarang, saya answer sekarang. Kalau tak, during the material. Kalau tak, at the end of it, during Q&A. Okay? Ada soalan untuk I? CPF. Tak. Nomination first. So answer yang pendek, nomination dulu, baru faraid.
If you already nominated, then there's nothing to faraid anymore because it's already approved by the
Correct. Waalaikumsalam. Kan, have a seat. How are you? Pelan-pelan. Kita we baru belum start lagi, tengah having a short Q&A. So CPF nomination, there is a precedent and there is a fatwa stated that CPF will occur first before the rest. Nanti in fact, nearing the tail end of the slides, we will cover what happens first. Sebab bila kita meninggal, right, there are certain things that come first. Baru contoh rumah, CPF, insurance, joint bank account, lepas tu baru yang lain happen. So there is a certain specific process to follow. Ada lagi soalan untuk I? Sebab Maarof tell me it's going to be a full house, so I tengah tunggu untuk semua orang masuk. Boleh? Registration je kan? Tak tahu. Tak apalah. Masjid Maarof call me. Afiq appear on this day and talk. Boleh. We wanted to actually do satu pagi, satu petang. Tapi Masjid Maarof kata tak cukup time. Ambil gambar. Anybody need paper to take notes on? I have some spare pieces of paper. Pen je tak cukup. Yes. Record? Ada, I have a recording.
No, can I record?
Boleh kalau nak. Kalau nak. In fact, I'm intending to actually put this recording up online. So kalau you nak, you can have it later.
Under Masjid Maarof?
Oh tak, that will be under my own. Under MMF, Modern Muslim Finance. Sebab Masjid Maarof punya learning portal separate from mine. Tak apalah, later you'll get my details. You drop me a text, I send you a recording. Assalamualaikum. Have a seat. Oh wait, you ambil gambar. Assalamualaikum puan, have a seat. Thank you for coming early. We got a couple more minutes before we begin. Can. Those yang sit in front usually kan banyak kena soal. Lagi better, even better. Assalamualaikum tuan, have a seat come. Let's make some space. Boleh? If you need help, let us know. Masjid Maarof has, I have two of my colleagues at the back. So kalau nak bully diorang boleh. Aku bully kau boleh, aku boleh. So we have two of my colleagues here today. So inshallah, if anybody needs support or you need help, and I'm in front, I'm unable to help, do engage them. They are Ashraf, please stand. Alhamdulillah. And Ashari yang okay, tembang sini. Lagi satu minute. So before I start, I tend to like to ask questions to the crowd, to my participants, to understand the level of understanding. Sebab kalau semua orang really mostly understand it, then I make it a little bit harder to understand. Not hard to understand. I make it a little bit more difficult, more advanced. Tapi kalau kebanyakan orang tak tahu, don't know, and you're very new to the topic, then I make it easier to understand. That has been my style for a while. Puan, Assalamualaikum. Have a seat. Okay, siapa pernah buat wasiat? Anybody written your own wasiat yet? Okay, Ashari pernah, of course. Kita semua dah buat wasiat. Mesti kepada I wajib tulis wasiat. Have a seat bang. Assalamualaikum. Siapa tak tahu wasiat tu apa? Tak pernah dengar perkataan wasiat pun. Macam scary je. Right, come. You might want to sit in the middle because the screen over there you might not see. Okay, Alhamdulillah, just 30 more seconds then we can begin. And time. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh semua orang. Let's start strong today with Al-Fatihah. Auzubillahi minasyaitanir rajim. Alhamdulillah. Malikumiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amin. Folks, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh once again, and welcome to Before I Go, before you go, before we all go, inshallah, because one day death is certain. We all know that, can? Right? So today we're going to be covering an introduction to Wasiat Faraid and inheritance. Now, inheritance kita tahu kat Singapore is very different for us as Muslims. Yes? Yes, before we go into the material proper, siapa tahu kenal siapa I? Okay, kalau korang dua tak kenal, aku takut. I will be conducting today mostly in English, but kalau terkeluar bahasa Melayu sikit, minta maaf lah. Okay, nama saya Afiq. Kamu cakap baru keluar bahasa Melayu. My name is Afiq. I'm a chartered financial consultant. Assalamualaikum bang. Have a seat. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Kat tengah-tengah. Kalau tak nampak. My name is Afiq. I've been doing this for 10 years. I got my start dulu in banking. Bila I left banking, my good friend Ustaz dia kata, Puan, if you don't mind, ladies on the left. Kalau tak, it's okay. Masjid suruh kita buat macam ni. I got my start in banking a long time ago lah, more than, alhamdulillah, dah coming to 11 years already. And when I left banking, my ustaz told me this, Afiq, you finally left the world of riba. Siapa tahu apa riba? I masa tu tak tahu. I kata riba tahu apa? Boleh makan Tak tahu tu riba. So I started my journey into Islamic finance more than 10 years ago. The more I study about Islamic finance, the more I started to learn about the religion. Sebab masa banking kita rosak sikit. Zaman jahiliah nak katakan. So I am a chartered financial consultant and associate estate planning practitioner. I founded Modern Muslim Finance, which you can see up above, and I tend to collect logos here and there. So do me a favor everybody, take out your QR code and scan, because we'll be using a QR code later. Scan, cari I kat social media, cari kat Instagram, kat Facebook, sebab paling penting, one of the most important things I say is this. I don't know what you all want to learn. So I buat content, I buat video, I buat content, I buat class. But kadang-kadang, a lot of people tell me, Afiq, I want to learn about this, I want to learn about that. So when you tell me what you want to learn, I can create content based on that. So some of the logos we collect, as you notice, kita kat Masjid Maarof hari ni, alhamdulillah. I've spoken at AMP, Association of Muslim Professionals. Spoken kat mana? Mendaki call us quite often. Kita last 2-3 months super busy. Almost every week ada kelas yang Mendaki. Apa lagi? Berita harian interview I banyak kali. Tahun ni dah 4 kali, alhamdulillah, best. And so one of the things that I always focus on is education. How many of you understand? Education paling penting. And today kita berbual pasal wasiat Faraid dengan Islamic Inheritance. What are the 3 things that continue to give us pahala after we are gone? Sedekah? Sedekah, sure? Sedekah sekali je. Wakaf. Alhamdulillah, yes, wakaf. Thank you. Wakaf is a perpetual endowment in the name of God. Number 2. Siapa ada anak? Anak kita soleh tak? InsyaAllah. I sendiri ada 2 anak, umur 7 dengan 4. Dia macam perangai beruang, macam daddy bear dia. And the third thing that continues to cause pahala after we are gone is ilmu yang dimanfaatkan, and beneficial knowledge. So insyaAllah, kalau I ajar you all today, hari ni, you all learn something, you got something good you pakai, you dapat benefit, you dapat pahala, I pun dapat pahala, insyaAllah. Sebab Ustaz I pun kata, Afiq, kau takkan cukup pahala, Afiq. Dia senyum dengan I bila cakap macam tu. Kau takkan cukup ada dengan pahala, Afiq. Alhamdulillah. Dia tengok I, kau pun memang banyak dosa, Afiq. Kesian. Afiq banyak dosa. Memang. So, before we go deep into the inheritance portion, we are all here, me and my 2 colleagues, we are pakar finance. We are finance professionals. Okay, I've been chartered financial consultant, dah buat ni dah 10 tahun, alhamdulillah. And I came up with this model. This model of how I guide my clients and how I believe all of us should be planning our finances. Number 1 is income. How many of you know that duit you halal ke haram? Dah ketawa kan, first question. There are ways to earn money yang both haram dan halal. Number 2, insurance. Siapa tahu kat sini insurance semua yang tak ada yang halal? Semua takut, tu terdiam. Betul. None of the insurance policies are halal. Tu yang masalah. Tapi darurat, we must take, but don't buy too much. Hari ni bukan kelas insurance We talk about investing. Investing is also something that is close to my heart. Sebab dulu in banking, I used to do a lot of investments. Kerja I senang. Help people lose their money. I have a client who I lost $57,000 in 3 months. Best. Dia tak berbual dengan I 2 tahun. Sampai the money back. But one of the things I do is I teach people how to invest the halal way. Sebab kita nak kerja, duit kita dah halal kan. We want to keep that money and grow that money in a halal way. But again, today is not about investments. Okay? Next one is independence. Siapa tahu pernah dengar financial freedom? Kan? All the banyak-banyak advertisement yang tu, financial freedom, kan, drive your sports car, kan, have a beachfront property, kan. I tell you that's BS. Okay, it's BS. 99.9% of the population cannot have financial freedom. Sebab how many of you know there are 8 billion people on the planet now? Yeah. Kan? Baru keluar article, I think last week or something. 8 billion people on the planet. Is there enough resources on the planet for everybody to have a Ferrari? Mana cukup? Tak cukup. But I can tell you this, there is more than enough for all of us to be financially independent. Freedom means kita ada Ferrari, live on a yacht. Independence means this. Your passive income, whether your dividends ke or from CPF Life ke, pays you enough every month that covers your monthly living expenses. Yes? Lepas tu risau tak? Dah tak risau lagi lah kan? Because every month my income equals my expenses. I am independent. Alhamdulillah. Last one is inheritance. Sebab you dah kerja, you make your money, you earn your money, you protect yourself, you make your money grow by investing, you enjoy your money by being independent. After that, give away what you want, what you have, to who you want to, when you want to, in the way you want to. Tu sebab hari ni kita cover pasal inheritance. Boleh? Alhamdulillah. If I am going a little bit too fast, I cannot apologize sebab Maarof only gave me 2 hours. Kita punya class is 1.5 days. Like I mentioned earlier, 1.5 day class, kita try to compress into 2 hours. Jadi, folks, first thing, handphone silent. Kalau boleh handphone silent. Number 2, kalau ada soalan, tunggu sampai Q&A. Nanti ujung Q&A will have Q&A. Okay? Number 3, if you must take a phone call or you want to go toilet, pergi je, it's okay. Kalau nak answer phone call, kita answer kat depan pintu ke jauh sikit? Jauh sikit Pernah ada orang, apa aku nak kahwin lagi? Aku nak kahwin lagi? So folks, before I go, introduction to Faraid, Islamic Inheritance and Wasiat. Siapa pernah dengar the term wasiat? Have you heard the term wasiat? Yes? Have you heard the term Faraid? Yes, pernah dengar orang kata, Faraid ada, tak payah wasiat. Yes, I am here to tell you, it is 2 different things and they work together and yet they are separate. Important to have wasiat. Also important to understand Faraid. Okay? So we're going to go right into it. Islamic inheritance. How many of you are Singaporean? Semua tengok tangan dulu. Because these things that I'm sharing today is very relevant to Singaporeans. Very, very relevant. Sebab we as Singaporeans, Alhamdulillah, we have this. Okay, we have... okay, tak apa, before we have that. The question is, what is Islamic inheritance? We know we must distribute our assets according to Faraid, kan? Faraid is written into Islamic law. And that is super important for us simply because we are what? Kita orang Islam ke orang kafir? Orang Islam. Okay, we have to follow Muslim law. Now, because of the way Faraid is being done, because of the way we have to follow Islamic law, it governs us in the way we distribute our assets when we are gone. That's it. There are certain rules we must follow. And here's the good news. The rules that we have actually are written into Singapore law. So Islamic law is also in Singapore law. Nanti I cover a little bit. But when we talk about Faraid, typically people ask me, where are the sources that we see? These are from the Quran. Quranic sources, Quranic verses. I'm not going to go too deep into these, but there are a few pertinent verses that we can take note of. And it specifies the shares that are given to who in the event of when we pass away. Right? Tengok. So even when it comes to people who do not have a share in Faraid, they are also taken care of. So it is very much in our power to give what we will have to who we want to. Remember, who we want to. Lain siapa nak bagi semua duit kita ke anak-anak kita? No? Tengok, first one, no. Semua duit pergi anak, no, straight away. See? Absolutely. And that is a very real concern. And so this is actually from the Quran verse 11 where it talks about the shares a little bit. You know, how many of you know kaum lelaki dapat twice as much? Kan? Kenapa? Tanggungjawab. Yes, responsibilities. Alhamdulillah. Fantastic. And this continuation of the verse, ladies also get a certain portion, wives, widows also get a certain portion. But who are the ones who get the portion? That's the first question, kan? People selalu cakap anak. Siapa kat sini ada anak? Ada anak? No? Tak ada satu? Dua? Nobody else ada anak? Tiga, empat, lima. Okay, Alhamdulillah. Siapa tak ada anak lelaki? Tak ada anak lelaki. Okay. So you all know when you do not have a male child, it becomes a slight issue, kan? Anyways, so when we look at this, we must understand that the Faraid beneficiaries form a very specific group of people. Very, very specific group of people. Are husband and wife, are they in the Faraid circle? Yes. Fantastic. Mak bapak, are they in the Faraid circle? Yes. Siapa mak bapak masih hidup? Okay, important. That one also for you to know. Later, when you have a chance, take notes because this part will apply to you. How you use it. Boleh? Okay, extended family pula. Also quite interesting. Siapa ada adik-beradik? Adik-beradik? Anybody got brothers? Brothers, okay. Brothers who are still alive. Okay. Siapa ada datuk? Atuk ni, the young chap. Tak ada, okay. My atuk also passed away. Both my atuk passed away a long time ago. Atuk also plays a part sometimes. Depending. What am I getting at? Sebab family kita besar. Siapa ada family yang besar? Ada kan? Nenek I ada 9 adik-beradik. Mak I ada 3 adik-beradik. Bapa I ada 8 adik-beradik. Pakcik I sendiri, I think I got 5. Pakcik I ada 5. Adik I 1 je, perempuan. So if I think about it this way, if you look at this part, we must understand your family circle. There are the people inside and the people outside your family circle. On the right side, you tengok automatic heirs. These are the people who, regardless of what happens, however the punya structure lah kan, these people automatic ada share dalam kita punya estate. The word estate, how many of you heard the word estate? Not real estate Pernah dengar? What does estate mean? Baru cakap not property. Yes. Lagi harta, lagi. What else? You're right. An estate is really just a fancy way of saying whatever you own that is in your name, that belongs to you, that when you pass away, forms your estate. Siapa pernah nampak a check yang kata, not your name but the estate of somebody? Pernah nampak? Pernah nampak? Are you working in banking?
Insurance and investment.
Insurance. So you have seen. Kan? An estate check is one of the scariest things to see. Kan? Sometimes the number is huge. Very, very big. The number I pernah handle. Insurance, the estate check is very big. Okay, because the estate check is paid to the estate. Just because I have gone, the estate that I create, that I leave behind is still there. Which means, even after I'm gone, benda tu belongs to me. Habis yang macam, siapa-siapa boleh ambil? Tak boleh. Siapa boleh ambil? Orang ni boleh ambil tak? Can these people take my estate? Can? Who say can? Why you say can? So which one come first?
Inner ring.
Correct. Inner ring come first. So inner ring does come first. You seem very knowledgeable. Tell me, what do you do? Just question. Macam familiar, macam pernah jumpa. That's the thing. Tak tahu, macam very familiar, pernah jumpa. In fact, some of the faces here macam pernah jumpa. Have anybody met me before? I do classes every, so many years already. Kadang jumpa, tak pernah jumpa. I kadang jalan-jalan, Afiq, awak siapa? Oh, I attended your class. Oh, bila? 2-3 years back. Oh, Alhamdulillah, apa khabar? Pasal aku jalan, tak kenal. So, your inner and outer rings are super important to understand. Sebab, the inner ring, can it be broken? Can the inner ring be broken? Sebab, if I look at my inner ring, if any of these people are there, that means they get, yes? What if they are not in the inner ring? So which one is more important, the female or the male? Male, yes? So if I say father, mother, spouse, son, daughter, in which situation, when any of these people tak ada, does my outer ring come into play? Tengok. Siapa brother? Tak dengar? Paternal brother, Okay, jap. Self, if only you are a man. Okay, for ladies, this doesn't count. If you look within your inner circle, bapa tak ada, anak lelaki tak ada, your inner circle is broken. So this one must take notes. Please take notes. Okay, in this case, myself. My dad is still alive. My father, alhamdulillah, is still alive. He's very healthy. If he passes on, my son blocks the inner circle. But if my son tak ada, my father tak ada, and I tak ada, then my inner circle, broken, you take out, look at the rest. This is the simplest way to understand. So kalau I cancel out this one, I cancel out my dad, because eventually, the reality is, will my dad pass away one day? Yes. Right, he's already 1957, 65. My dad is 65. Next week. Next week, 65. Alhamdulillah. If my dad dah tak ada, na'uzubillah, if my son tak ada. Or when my first daughter is a girl, my first daughter, girl lah tu, right? My first child is a girl, right? So when we, kadang-kadang bisikkan syaitan annoying. When we found out I was having a girl, my first thought was, alamak, sakit dulu, I have a girl. Then my second child, we found out we have a boy. Hati alhamdulillah. Why? Natural, is it a natural thought to have? Like, I kerja pasal ni dah 10 tahun. I keep thinking I help my clients buat wasiat. I tolong dan tulis wasiat. I have clients who only have girls, and sometimes they are very concerned. So in the event where self, male lah lagi senang sikit. Assuming the self is the male, kalau there is no father, there is no son, we look for the closest male heir. Closest male heir kita nak kena cari. So ni dah outer circle, kita nak cari brother. And brother, kalau lain mak macam mana? Atau lain bapa macam mana? Anybody in that situation? Have a half brother? Maternal or paternal? Your particular situation. Same? Paternal. Say paternal. Okay. Oh, Assalamualaikum. Have a seat. Have a seat. Boleh masuk? Paternal brother. Then we look at who else? Kalau tak ada, we also have to look at. Remember just now I kata atuk? Grandfather. And if not grandfather, who's one more male you can think of? Uncle. Well done. And it is paternal uncle, Uncle. So if the inner circle is broken, the first thing we must look at is the paternal brother, grandfather, or paternal uncle. The closest male heir. Look at the last one is baru nephew. Kalau tak nephew, cousin. But this one is in this priority. Okay? So if those of you who are in a situation where you have half siblings, nak kena tengok maternal or paternal. Because kalau maternal, the male sibling doesn't count. Okay. Now I'm going to throw another one. Okay, ni best. Okay, I'm going to throw another one into the mix. Am I going too fast? No? Am I going too slow? No? Anybody confused? No, not yet. Not yet. Okay. Let's say lah, buat contoh. Afiq. My wife's name is Lina. Any Linas in the room? Ada Lina? Tak ada? Tak ada, okay. Usually I make a joke about Lina, but Syian dia terbatuk-batuk kat rumah. Afiq dengan Lina. Okay, then kat bawah, I got 2 children. Okay. Arya and Adam. Okay. Husband, wife, girl, boy. Boleh? My mum and my dad. Oh no, merah. Her mum and her dad. Who is in whose circle? Who is in whose circle? Kalau I meninggal, buat contoh Afiq meninggal. Who is in my inner circle? Siapa? Who? My mum, my dad, lagi. My children, my son, my daughter. Are my in-laws in? No. Terbalik kan? Kalau Lina meninggal, are my parents in? No, but dia ada kan? Okay. Tadi siapa tanya pasal HDB? Somebody asked about HDB, CPF kan? Keep that in mind. Because I have HDB, I have CPF, my wife has the same HDB, she also have her own CPF. Tapi, who owns what? Siapa dapat apa? Nanti. Oh, tadi kata belum confused kan? Nanti. Tapi, we understand that family, extended family, is also part of the Faraid beneficiaries, yes? Yes. Okay, I'll be referring to this later on. Okay. Dah pukul berapa? Okay, takut. Kerana baru cakap, I only have 2 hours. Tadi I mentioned Singapore law. So Singapore law, we have something called AMLA. Pernah dengar? Administration of Muslim Law Act. If somebody comes to you and say Muslims cannot write will, betul tak? No, not true. You tell them can. But our will is called a wasiat, an Islamic will. So when somebody comes to you, especially kadang-kadang lawyer jumpa, oh you Muslim, you cannot write will. So Wills Act. I said, Wills Act is for the non-Muslim. But when we pass away, the death certificate will show that this person has passed away as a Muslim. Then we will follow AMLA. Okay, AMLA is written into law, details faraid, details who are the beneficiaries, details what we must do in the process. So I won't go too deep into AMLA nanti lagi confused baru cakap, kan? But we also have to understand a second thing, domicile. How many of you have heard the word domicile? Pernah dengar, no? Okay, domicile is a very fancy way of saying orang ni tinggal mana? Kan? Tempat tinggal dah. Not Jurong ke, not Pasir Ris tak Country of domicile. Assalamualaikum. Have a seat. Ahmad. You made it. Yes. Alhamdulillah. Actually, I kenal Ahmad. You know why? Last Wednesday, I buat kelas online. Dia join. Dia join. Padahal this first time kita meeting I dah kata, siapa-siapa kenal I? Kan? Alhamdulillah. So, domicile of the deceased is the country that you're domiciled in. Sebab when we talk about domicile, how many of you are born in Singapore? How many of you are not born in Singapore? Are there sometimes we have, kan? Not born in Singapore. I have friends who are born offshore, then they come to Singapore, get citizenship. Kan? How many of you are born in Singapore but live in Malaysia? Ada? Pernah jumpa orang born in Singapore but they migrate? Do they give up their citizenship? No, they are still citizens, but they live offshore, overseas. Are they considered domicile in Singapore? Kita tengok orang dia, you see. So where the person lives depends. No? I can go travelling, but bila something happens, I pass away, but I'm still Singaporean, I'm still domiciled here. So the word domicile has a specific definition. Somebody who lives in a specific country for more than 183 days a year. That's the legal definition. That means they live here, they work here, they pay taxes here, not because they ada rumah kat Singapore. How many people have rumah offshore, overseas? But are you domiciled here? No. So you travel back and forth?
Yes.
How often do you stay in Singapore versus offshore?
Paling sikit 2 bulan.
2 bulan?
Ya.
Paling banyak?
4 months.
Is it less than 183 days? 4 months, 4 times 120 days, plus minus? So less than 6 months. So therefore, the law that applies to you might be your country of domicile, even though you have a Singapore citizenship. With me so far? Can? Because this one is something that trips up a lot of folks because sometimes they have property overseas or sometimes their children. I have a client who mak dia ikut anak dia pergi study overseas, dia tinggal sana for 2 years. Technically, her domicile changed during that time. So if she had passed away, she had to follow Australian law because the daughter went there. So understand domicile, important Now domicile is the person. But what if we have assets offshore, overseas? How many people have assets not in Singapore? Assets not in Singapore kan? Kadang-kadang ada, even can be property, can be bank account, can be investment accounts, kan? If it's not in Singapore, the asset that we have to look at also plays a part. There's 2 kinds. Nanti I cover a bit deeper onto assets, but for now, there are 2 kinds. Movable and non-movable, immovable. What is an example of an immovable asset? House. Kau boleh kau ambil pun. Boleh bawa balik lah. Semua barang aku. That's one, immovable. But other things that are movable kan makes it a bit easier. Things that are liquid, cash, even businesses can be sold, bring it back. If you can sell it and bring it back, then it's considered a movable asset. But rumah, immovable. So, kalau immovable asset, kita ikut the country punya law or Singapore law? Country law. Well done. So now, in the interest of time, I'll keep moving. One of the more important things about Singapore law is this. They allow us to plan how we give away our things. Not 100%, mesti ikut Faraid juga, but it allows us to plan a little bit further. Okay, later I'll show how much we can give. So some of the institutions we have to be very well aware of. In Singapore, 3 je paling penting. 3 je paling penting. Number 1, Sharia court. How many of you know where the Sharia court is? Dulu kita punya office next to Sharia court. Bukit Merah. Bukit Merah. That's usually the first stop we have to go to. Why we go to Sharia court is to get something called the inheritance certificate. Pernah dengar? No? Later we'll cover a little bit deeper on inheritance certificate, but just bear in mind that the inheritance certificate shows you who gets what in what proportion. I encourage everybody later, when you have time, go to Sharia Court website, shariacourt.gov.sg. There is inheritance certificate, inheritance calculator. Go and key in. Go and try. Then you will see. For example, I remember I mentioned this kan. If Afiq pass away, there is a specific fraction for these people kan? Yes? How many of you are aware of the fractions given away? Tak tahu? Tadi I just showed the slide. Tak nampak? This one. There, this one. How many of you read this and then took notes and then understood? Yalah, purposely lah, kacau you all je. I selalu joke with my team, kalau orang tahu ni semua, kita dah tak kerja. So, buat contoh, Sharia court lah. The Sharia court inheritance calculator will show you that in the event I pass away, okay, in this case just this example, because ada anak, how much you think the wife gets? Who say half? Who say quarter? Who say 1/8? 1/3? 1/8. Why you say 1/8? Or is it just random je? Kalau half, quarter, 8, 16. You all laugh. 16. Ashari, yang tu kita nampak berapa? 144 244. The fraction was 1/244 shares. You laugh ke? 1/2, quarter, 16. Betul. 244. This is the record we saw. Previously, the record was 172. They got broken by this one. This one, his side of the family. So terus takut. So, my wife, Lina, dapat 1/8. Mak bapak I dapat berapa? Well done, 1/6. Yes, both of them get 1/6 each. Okay. Ni 2 buruang dapat berapa? Son gets 1 to 2. Dah, split that way. Mak bapak Lina dapat apa tak? Ada fraction juga? 0. Okay, if this is the case, when you play with the online certificate calculator, online Faraid calculator, online inheritance calculator, you can key in all of your scenarios. Because is there a scenario where Afiq and Lina pass away together? Ada. Later on in the case studies, I will share a bit more. Right? Okay, I need to move. The second and third ones are family justice court. So, Sharia court gives us inheritance certificate. Family justice court gives us either, this one you write down, grant of letter of administration or grant of probate, depending. I will cover deeper which one is given in the next few slides, but just remember, letter of administration, grant of grant of probate. Alhamdulillah. Tengok, I just paying, mana tahu some people tak pay attention. You know? The last one is registry of birth and death. This one, how many of you know when somebody passes on, we have to go to a police station, make a report? We don't report police. Orang meninggal, report police. Tu murder lain. For a death, kematian, when we report, they are actually linked to ICA, the Immigration Checkpoint Authority, Registry of Birth and Death. Those of us who have children, when they were born, we have to go to ICA and register. Similar. Terbalik pula. When somebody passes on, we register. This part is super important to understand. Sebab, how many of you know that the government knows everything we do? So the government knows everything that we do. The government also knows who has been born and who has passed away. So the inheritance certificate in the Sharia court, kita pernah nampak orang key in, buat contoh, I meninggal, my executor key in Lina, Arya, Adam, mak bapak dia, okay, dia key in, submit kat Sharia court, submit kat Family Justice Court, Family Justice Court reject. Apa boleh reject? There are family members you are unaware of. There are family members you are unaware of. You must key in. Kerja susah. Sebab, tadi I kata I got how many uncles? 5 kan? I must key in all 5 uncles. I ada adik, I must key in my adik. Bukan I lah, I dah meninggal. So, I dah tak ada. Siapa lagi nak kena tulis? Mak bapa I punya siblings. My mom's sisters. My dad's sisters and brothers. Key in. Then, when you see the inheritance certificate, this is actually accurate. Cuma the other names, kosong. Kosong. So the government must know that we are, the government already knows that we are gone. They just want to know if you know. And then they will reject, and you have to redo again, and again, and again. Itu yang annoying. Serious. Okay? So for those of us who know our family, especially extended family, those who have passed away, you don't have to put in. But those who are still alive, key in. Okay, now we go into the wasiat itself. Tadi I berbual all the way, all process saja. All process saja. For us, can we do anything? Nothing. Buat je. This is the only part that we have some control over. This is the only part that we have some control over. Tapi wasiat tu apa? Wasiat, to be frank with you, kertas je. It's just a piece of paper. The simplest wasiats we do are just 2 pages. Back and front. It just says, I, the testator, the person writing the wasiat is the testator. I will write this down. Sebab these are terms that you will see us using later on. Okay, number 1 is testator. Testator is the person writing the wasiat. Now, kalau you engage a lawyer to tulis wasiat, who is the testator? Salah, you. The lawyer is the lawyer. Kan. Some folks, lawyer tuliskan, dia testator. Tak. This is the appointed person tulis je. Dia tulis draft. Sama macam kita. In our services, we actually help our clients tulis wasiat. Dia kata, testator siapa? Afiq. Tak. Kalau testator Afiq, aku yang mampus. Okay, testator is the person who is writing the will. Okay, followed by the people he appoints. Because they are very important people. Dari segi inheritance, there's only 3 things you think about. Who, what, and how. Now I'm covering the who. First one is testator. Second one, executor. How many of you have heard the term executor? Pernah dengar? Kerja dia apa? Execute. If I had $1 every time I got that joke, I dah boleh retire dah. The executor's job really is to execute. Betul. But execute what? The will. Correct. Execute the wasiat. Kerja dia memang not easy. Memang leceh. memang sakitkan hati, memang amanah dia paling berat. Tu sebab me and my colleagues will never do. Okay, lots of people come to us, can you help us do executor? Tak boleh. Sebab conflict of interest. If we write for you a wasiat, we cannot be your executor. Jangan. Takut. Berat. Amanah. Plus our charges are 10% plus a minimum of 5 million. Sounds funny? No, most law firms charge that way. Minimum 5 million, 10%. Ada. Tu sebab lawyer kaya. We should be lawyers. Tukar. So typically, your executor can be anybody. Doesn't have to be your family. Doesn't have to be Muslim. Doesn't have to be male. Can be anybody as long as they are above the age of 21, they are of sane mind, and they are non-bankrupt. So if you trust a friend to do, if you trust your son to do, you trust your spouse to do. Did you know my executor is not my spouse? Because I told her, today I die how? You don't say how. But legit, kerja aku nak kena buat ni. Little tengah putih WhatsApp, menangis. I said, okay, that's how I know you love me lah. Recorded I love you. So the executor punya kerja can be anybody. Because the job is given to somebody you trust. In our case studies, we'll show you what happens if you meet people you don't trust. Do you trust everybody you meet?
No.
Clear cut. Do you trust your own family?
No.
Again, if I got $1 every time I heard that. So executor is the people in charge. You know, they can sell your house, close your bank account, open your estate account with the bank. They can claim insurance, close your investment accounts, basically menguruskan everything. That's why the Malay word for it is pengurus. So testator, and then you've got your executor. Okay, what does the executor do? They execute, pengurus. The second one is the guardian. The guardian, siapa ada anak kecil? Anak kecil, how old? 12. Anybody got children above the age of 18? Just checking to see the age groups. Mana tahu. So only one person have young children? Anybody else? Children below the age of 18? Ada? Terlupa. Kau dah nak lupa. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. I pernah satu hari I bangun, aku dah 38, 2 anak. Bila masa ni? Ada, Alhamdulillah. The guardian is the person in charge of making decisions for the children. Decisions. Does it mean they are the one yang jaga? Not necessarily. With me and my wife, we agreed that my parents will take care of the 2 bears, okay? Because they are the best bear keeper, the zookeeper. Because my mother-in-law not so healthy, and my father-in-law is in Malaysia. But the guardian, the person in charge of making decision, budak-budak ni pergi sekolah mana, budak-budak ni nak buka account ke tak, budak-budak ni nak kena pergi medical check-up ke apa. Legal guardian is actually my sister-in-law, Lina's sister. Third sister, by the way. Third sister. So this is my guardian. G-U-A, guardian. Okay. My third sister, her third sister. Why? My sister is a lawyer. Tu sebab I takut. Tu sebab dia tinggal kat Adelaide. Dulu Sydney, then she moved to Adelaide. So, I takut. But frankly, we had a chat. She was saying, because she's based so far away, as a legal guardian, she has to be in person to sign, so very difficult. So tak apa. My sister is not going to be the guardian. My first sister-in-law, the first sister I married, the second sister, Lina and I both agree dia tak boleh jaga anak kita. Tak boleh. Tadi kata, do we trust our family? Tak boleh, dia stress. I love you. The third sister is a nurse. The third sister used to be single, now they're engaged, Alhamdulillah. Itulah ceritanya. And so we trust Nadia, the third sister, Nadia, because she's got a good head on her shoulders. She's very smart, she's very calm, very reassured, very relaxed. And so we appointed her as the guardian. Now, tadi I mentioned executor. My wife is not the executor, kan? My first executor is actually my business partner. My second executor is my wife. If in the event my business partner cannot perform, cannot do anything, or nauzubillah meninggal before I, then the second guardian will, the second executor will take charge. So always have 2. Okay, I will write for you all. Always have 2. I forgot this part. 2. Your guardian, can you have more than 1? Can. Guardian can have 2. Guardians. Kan? Tulis apa guardians? Tak, you can have more. Boleh. 1 is the minimum. Minimum is 1. Minimum for either one. Testator berapa minimum? 1 lah, 1 orang je tulis. Caki-caki mana tu. 1 je lah. Balang. Very nice. Korang pernah dengar balang SG? Tengok, tunjuk. Tengok. Baldi. Oh, sedap nanti. Executor you can have 2. Minimum 1. Can you have more than 2? Yes. You can write as many as you want. In case one person die, boleh. But you pay lah. You pay. Because for us, when we help our clients, we specify 2. Any more than that, we have to refer to a lawyer, then you do a longer one. Guardian, we also specify 2. Because in any event, if one party passes away or step down. So now the next question is this. Kalau I dah figure out executor siapa, anybody of you got an idea who you want to appoint as executor? Should have by now. And no idea juga. Okay, masih tak tahu. Nobody you trust. As long as, maybe. Okay, maybe. We had a case. Participant juga in our workshop, dia datang. Afiq, my aunt passed away. Okay. Innalillah. She appointed me the executor. Oh, okay. Dia tunjuk dia punya wasiat. Ada. I'm the only one. So, oh, okay. How can I help you? I cannot do this. I step down. Oh is the right word. Dia tanya, then how? Your aunt considered pass away intestate lah. Faraid, regardless. Wasiat ada tak ada, you still follow Faraid. So executor, the most important thing is not appoint 2. The most important thing is to tell them.
Yes.
To tell them. Inform them that, hey, I appoint you as executor. Because if they refuse, then you can find another one. If they totally step down, kim salam. Okay? So guardian, important. The last one, the purpose of your estate is the bequest. Did you know the word wasiat in Arabic also means to give away? To give away. Wasiat, the bequest portion, this is where you have some control over your estate. In this case, kita tengok Faraid kan? Okay, not the 1244 lah. Tengok this Faraid. I can give away outside of Faraid up to 33%. 1/3. So buat contoh, if I pass away, I have $300,000, right, in my estate. Dah jual ni about 300,000. I can say, I nak buat wakaf. I nak bagi sedekah. I nak hibah pun boleh. I nak suka-suka joli bagi siapa-siapa. Boleh. I tulis in my wasiat, this portion I nak bagi. Okay, remember your bequest. Tak apa later. Bequest, there's a difference between sedekah and wakaf. What's the difference between sedekah and wakaf? Click. No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. Wakaf can be anything, but commonly people think, plot of land ke, rumah ke, kan, bangunan. Wakaf kena manage. Okay, yes, kena manage. Lagi? Difference between wakaf and sedekah. Simple je difference-nya. Wakaf tak boleh jual. Technically wakaf tu is owned by Allah Ta'ala, not owned by a person anymore. Boleh jual. Wakaf boleh jual. There was a case in Raffles Place, the masjid in the bottom of UOB, they exchange masjid MMA. Gaduh. No. Maulana Muhammad Ali. That basement masjid was given as a wakaf in exchange for 2 shophouse. So the original wakaf was 2 shophouse. Then they exchange it. Say, okay, we give you this shophouse. You give us the wakaf in the basement for the masjid. So wakaf boleh jual. Boleh. If the trustee agree. The difference between sedekah and wakaf is sedekah is one time. Wakaf is perpetual. As long as you have a wakaf, it will continually give us pahala after we are gone. Kan? Pernah dengar wakaf ilmu? Yes, MUIS ada wakaf ilmu. And insyaAllah in a few more years, we have wakaf masyarakat Singapura. So I'm pushing quite hard for both Wakaf Ilmu and Wakaf Masyarakat Singapore because I believe in this. It's a simple way for us as Muslims to start Wakaf. $1 pun jadi, right? Wakaf Ilmu is a scholarship fund to support Asatiza. So if these people learn and do well based on our contribution, they teach other people, kita dapat pahala on pahala on pahala on pahala. Kan pahala compounded lah InsyaAllah. So key difference to understand, bila you tulis your wasiat, you nak kata, okay, aku nak bagi, lain aku nak sedekah kat orphanage, Darul Makmur for example, nak sedekah versus aku nak wakaf. Different how you word it. Okay, this part I must stress. Because some people kata, bagi je. Bagi niat dia apa? Lain. Niat. Islam is all about niat. Okay? Usually I have a projector. So kadang-kadang I tengok skrin macam gini. Tengkuk I sakit. Okay. So, some of the important things to consider. Oh, I'm already 45 minutes in. Oh, kecoh. Some of the important things to consider when you tulis wasiat. I just mentioned the bequest portion, kan? The things that we have to understand. I mentioned beneficiary. Before you tulis your wasiat, Before I tulis the wasiat, just now I mentioned go onto Sharia Court website, play with the calculator, understand who are the beneficiaries, who are the people involved. Macam in this case, I buat my family, my family tree, I draw it out. Tulis. Then you can see who gets what. Because then you can also play. What if my son tak ada? It's a sad thing, but does it happen? Ada. Kan? What if my wife tak ada? What if I tak ada? Then how? Because one of the things that we have to be aware of is if I own something and it goes 100% to my wife, buat contoh rumah, and then she dies, my parents don't get anything, her parents will get it. I'm going to repeat that. If I own something in joint together, I meninggal, Lina dapat 100%. After that, Lina meninggal, mak bapa I tak ada hak langsung. What if we die at the same time? Nanti insyaAllah case study kalau I got time. Okay? Apa lagi? Okay. Witnesses. Oh no, wait, sorry. Go back to beneficiary. This one important because it's not in the slides. Just checking. Anybody got adopted children? No? Anybody know anybody who has adopted children? You know people who have adopted children? Okay. Are adopted children in Faraid? Okay, clear. Everybody knows. Adopted children, adopted parents, not in Faraid. I have an uncle who has a adopted daughter. The girl from baby sampai sekarang dah 22, 23 dah. Hanim. Just got married in June. Alhamdulillah. Hanim got nothing. If my uncle and aunt pass away, she's get nothing. Zero. Because she is not anak kandungan. Not anak kandungan. Which means terbalik pula. What if anak luar nikah? Dapat tak? Anak luar nikah tak dapat. So now there's a biological connection but there's no marriage. So not considered under Faraid. Adopted child, not considered under Faraid. What about adopted parents? So if Hanim pass away, my aunt and uncle tak dapat apa-apa. Next question, kalau I think about beneficiary. Anybody here is a convert? Anybody knows a convert? Oh, no converts. Convert, it's been stated, a Muslim can inherit from a non-Muslim. A non-Muslim cannot inherit from a Muslim. So a convert, there's a story here, nak tahu ni. There's a story, tahu. In the interest of time, nanti saya tak kita record kita buat macam tu. Very interesting. Okay, so we must understand. We follow the bloodline, we follow the marriage, and we follow the religion. There's a few things to consider when it comes to beneficiary. This one, some folks have this misconception. Especially, I get converts who come to us. They say, Afiq, people told me that I don't need to write anything because everything, if I pass away, will go to government. How many of you heard that? Government will take everything. No? Aus pula. It's actually true. It's actually true to a certain extent. There is something called Baitul Mal. But Baitul Mal is the beneficiary of last resort. Betul tak ada anak. For example, this person sebatang kara, really orphan, no parents, no children, no uncles, aunties, nothing. then it will go to Baitul Mal. But I frequently see Baitul Mal in the inheritance calculator for converts. Frequently. Banyak kali. For example, we have converts who married, but the parents, because non-Muslim, cannot inherit. No children. The wife gets, because no children, the wife get 1/4. The balance 3/4 Baitul Mal. Ada? We have seen. Especially with converts. Okay, so if you do know anybody who is a convert, who needs help, let us know. Nanti there's an opportunity for you to contact us later on. Okay, click kat sini. I want to cover witnesses for a bit. Witnesses. Saksi. A wasiat is not valid kalau tak ada saksi. Remember I mentioned, testator, person who write, executor, pengurus, guardian, penjaga budak-budak. Next one, bequest if I want to, optional. Last but most important is your witness. Witness, there is specification, very specific criteria to fulfill. 2, male, Muslim, above the age of 21, of sane mind, and of strong iman, insyaAllah. Bukan fasik. Okay? If you choose to have a lady be your witness, same but 4 instead of 2. That's why when we do for our clients, I always say, me and my colleagues will help you witness. Because we're not related to you, right? Because conflict of interest, then we are also not part of your Faraid beneficiary. This part. Your witness cannot be a beneficiary. If your witness is a beneficiary, your wasiat invalid. My dad's wasiat, I cannot witness. Kalau I witness, that wasiat invalid. My wasiat, my bear cannot. Beruang kecil tak boleh. Any of you can be my witness. But of course, mana tahu nanti dah kahwin sini, kita related. Macam mana? Macam mana? Which is why your inheritance certificate is important. Can I witness for my mother-in-law? Can. Technically, can. But if my mother-in-law pass away, she is a beneficiary, then I am also, because married to her, there is a conflict. So best take somebody outside of the family. So witnesses. 2 male Muslim witnesses above the age of 21. Simple as that. We've witnessed berapa? 100 lebih? Maybe banyak. Banyak. Usually, so the 2 gentlemen at the back, they help me witness banyak. Ashraf, west side. Ashari, north side. Soon nanti kita tengah cari orang in the east side, siapa nak join kita. Kan? Tolong kita witness. Anybody living in the east side nak join kita? But anyway, those are witnesses. The next one is validity. Validity is important. Because if I write a wasiat today, all the other wasiat, is it still valid? No. A new wasiat supersedes all the older wasiat. All. Okay. Next question. You have, you cross borders, right? Singapore. Which other country? Just Europe,
Germany.
Germany. Okay, so you're in Germany, kan? If you tulis wasiat in Germany and you tulis wasiat in Singapore, which one is valid?
That's why I'm here.
Good answer. Alhamdulillah. Gentlemen, say with me, Alhamdulillah ada kerja. Alhamdulillah ada kerja. Okay. For people who have to cross borders, my advice is this. Have a wasiat specifying which country it's valid in. If I'm Singaporean, I write my wasiat for my assets in Singapore, and in Germany, I have a wasiat for my assets in Germany. Then it's okay.
I just have to put this phrase in.
Yes. Because if you go and do this wasiat, there's no specific country, right? Then it will supersede, kecoh with that.
To mention the country.
Correct. Especially if for those of us who have assets offshore, for example, I'm domiciled in Singapore, but I have property in Australia, property in Malaysia, UK, quite common, kan? Write a wasiat there, specifically for the assets there.
But they can include the people here?
Boleh, because Faraid. So, when talking about that, when we go to a different country, we have to look at their laws there, how they govern Faraid. Because, for example, Singapore, we got AMLA. It is in. We are forced to follow Faraid. Alhamdulillah. But in a country like Germany, for example, they may not have that portion in their law. You have to write maybe even a traditional, conventional, non-Islamic will. Tak payah tulis wasiat. Then lain, they say, according to my will, this is to be given according to Faraid. Can. Or, no need to follow Faraid. terserah 100% to somebody lah, buat contoh.
I can
Pun
do that
boleh.
also.
Boleh. Tapi
tak ada lah, of course, yes.
nanti kita nak kena jawab. So the best part about my job is this. Kalau tak tahu, tak dosa. Sekarang dah tahu. Kerja I, tengok kerja I. Takut dah. Nanti orang, Afin kau ni. Okay. Alhamdulillah ada kerja. Kerja perangai macam gini. Okay, validity is one. If you write a new wasiat, your previous wasiats are invalidated. Next thing to understand, how many of us are married? Yes? How many of us have a second marriage? The reason why this is interesting is because a marriage revokes previous wasiat. Does a divorce revoke a wasiat? No. Divorce does not revoke a wasiat. For example, if today, before I got married, I tulis wasiat. Anybody unmarried? Singles? Ada? Singles? Okay. Singles. I write a wasiat as a single, and then I got married. That wasiat I wrote, invalid. Okay. I'm married, we tulis new wasiat. Something happened, we got divorced. Okay. That wasiat, if I die, and if I say a portion goes to Lina, which technically can, because she is no longer my wife, that wasiat is still valid. Because she is there. So if I remarry, then that one is revoked. So marriage revokes a previous wasiat, not divorce. Does death revoke a wasiat? See, the finance professionals get it. No lah, the wasiat takes effect lah. Sebab kita dah meninggal.
Oh, you mean the person?
Trick question lah. Trick question. Okay. That's the first time I've done that joke, by the way. Okay, validity settled. Okay, still got time. Still boleh. No. Because I want to have Q&A. Because I takut tak cukup time for Q&A. Because how many of you have questions? Ada? Okay, have questions? Okay, good. Let's hold it to Q&A because important for Q&A. Inheritance process and flow. So, we all know that nak kena ada wasiat, that there are certain institutions involved. You know, kita nak kena report polis, pergi Sharia court, pergi family justice court. But what happens when we pass away? What exactly happens when we pass away? There's a big difference if we pass away with and without a wasiat. I always say that wasiat is just a simple document. Kan? 2 pages, back and front. Testator, executor, guardian, bequest, witness. Tu je. Very, very simple. But kalau kita tak ada, we do not have that, the person in charge of our estate is called an administrator. Why? Remember just now when I said, if kita tak ada wasiat, we go to Family Justice Court and apply for letter of administration. So the person in charge is the administrator. Now, when you have a wasiat and you appoint the executor, you get the grant of probate. Grant of probate. Okay, I will write it here. It's actually up there, but just for so there is letter of letter of administration, as well as the grant of probate. These are important terms for us to remember. So if the person who gets the letter of administration is the administrator, the person who gets the grant of probate is the testing. I got one person say probator. Salah. One person just said okay. So the executor. Now the executor punya job or the administrator punya job is to petition the court to get these documents. Who is allowed to be the administrator? Anyone? Children? Fantastic. Lagi satu? Children? Aunties and uncle, yes, lagi? Spouse, of course. Apa? Parents, lagi? Banyak Actually, administrator banyak. Cousin?
I think anyone related to you?
Anyone related to you? Boleh? By marriage? By blood?
Both.
By blood. Typically is by blood. next of kin, so family members. And here's the thing. Did you know the bank can also be your administrator? Pernah dengar orang meninggal with a lot of loans, a lot of debts? Yes? And the bank knows that this person got a lot of assets. Kan? The bank can actually petition the court and say, we want to take over as administrator so that they get control of the estate, jual, take back their money. Ada. Will the bank distribute according to Faraid?
No.
Actually, yes.
In Singapore.
After they have take back all their hak. After. But you think the bank fast or slow? Slow they don't care about take back my money dah, Kim Salam Ada, we have seen cases like that. Very slow. Very, very slow. Waalaikumsalam puan, ngam. Nak dekat habis pun. Tak. I got another 1 hour. Actually, puan, if you can, kat sini, we got space here. No problem. Tak apa, nanti Q&A insyaAllah. Tapi yang diorang ada lambat, kita ada exam tau nanti. I tak mention kita betul ada exam. Nanti I give you workshop nanti, buat nak kena... Tak ada certificate of completion, tak ada. Tak ada. I ada certificate, dapat. Alhamdulillah, Masjid Maarof bagi. Baru dapat. Dia kata, ni betul. Not kidding. Alhamdulillah, certificate of appreciation. You all tak dapat lah Nak kita ambil gambar, kita print. Thank you. Okay. So the next of kin can be the administrator. Now the next question I have. You think the court knows that we are gone? Tadi baru cakap ICA, Registry of Birth and Death. So the court knows. Does the court know? The court know. Will the court contact our family? No. The courts will not contact the family. They won't. Lain. Different country. They will not contact the family for a very simple reason. What if they contact the wrong person? Right? Tadi
They have the registry, what?
ada. They have the... No, I don't mean the wrong person as in yang hidup atau yang meninggal. I'm talking about yang baik atau yang buruk. Baru tadi kata, who trust your family? The only one I trust is these two right now. And even then, I don't trust them. You know why? They come to me, Daddy, Mami say can. I come, you sure say can? No? Dah pandai dua-dua. And the best part is kan, dua-dua subahat. Did Arya say can? Did adik say can? Did Mami say can? Dah start pandai macam bapak dia. Where was I? Okay. The next of the reason why the court cannot inform the next of kin is like I mentioned, they don't know who is the right person, and so they will. And you know Singapore, we tend to err on the side of caution, kan? Don't say anything, just wait. So they will wait, and they will wait, and they will wait, and they will wait. The longest we heard, people did not petition the court because they tak tahu. And typically when there is a death in the family, it's always a very stressful situation. Kan? Very seldom do we see people happy when somebody die. Very seldom. Ada. Itu yang tak best. Oh, dia dah mampus, yes! Tu lain. Ada. And so sometimes, the longest we've seen was actually, I think, 4 years or 5 years. They didn't know. Dia tunggu. Dia kata, kata tak kau nak call kita? Tak. They won't. You have to go. And just like the process I mentioned, you have to go to Sharia court, you have to go to Family Justice Court, you have to go to Registry of Birth and Death to register all this, get the required documents and petition the court. It's petitioning the court is a fancy way of saying, pergi apply for all of this. Okay? Now the documents that you will obtain, first off, is either a letter of administration or grant of probate, depending if there is a wasiat or not. Inheritance certificate, which I mentioned from Sharia court, and a whole bunch of other documents. Because the most important thing you want to get from the court is something called the power of attorney. Once you get that power of attorney, you'll be able to open and close accounts, buy and sell properties, close accounts, etc., etc. I think I'm getting older. Tak nampak. There you go, Allah. Okay, so the documents that you need, your administrator needs, your executor needs, are all here. Number one is, of course, the wasiat. The wasiat is the most important document. Benda ni is still hard copy. Sekarang kita buat Zoom lah, e-signing and all that, tak boleh. We are still very much hard copy. That wasiat is the most important thing. Your executor will come to the courts with this document. If you have written a wasiat, keep it safe. Okay? Jangan, alas meja lah, apalah, please, jangan. Jangan. If you do keep it safe, remember where you keep it. I dah buat wasiat untuk klien I. Yearly review, wasiat you kat mana? Ha? Kau jangan aku dah tulis kau jangan, boleh buat baru. Ada, literally ada, buat baru. Okay, buat baru. And of course I happy, I charge. Itu cerita lain. Okay, your wasiat is super important. So the document you need is that. You will also need the letter of administration or the grant of probate, as well as the inheritance certificate. I mentioned this a few times, but there are supporting documents. Okay, these are the ones that are legally binding, but there are supporting documents that the court will ask you for. First off, NRIC. Because if I'm the executor, for example, for my wife, I need to bring my NRIC, I need to bring her death cert. Well done. You have to bring her death cert, I have to bring her NRIC. What else do I need to bring? Think about it, what else? Because I'm the executor. Marriage cert, yes, show marriage cert lagi. What are important documents here in Singapore? Think about it. Birth certificate of who? Okay, the dua buruang lagi. Lagi birth certificate siapa? Myself and my late spouse have to bring. Lagi. What are the documents we have? HDB? Who owns the house? Title deed? Title deed kan? Anybody got insurance? Most of us have insurance. Bawa policy document. Bank statement? Bank statement to prove. Bank statement. Apa lagi? Come. Think about it. This part dah start susah sikit because we're running out of documents. Apa lagi? Assalamualaikum. Can I put you, because clearly you are expecting. So, Ashraf, can you help me with this? Would you like to sit in front? Would you like me to shift you here? Boleh? Comfortable? Come. Is this number 1, number 2? Number 1, Alhamdulillah. Boy, girl? Girl, okay. Nama siapa? Banyak question. I takut you tak nampak lah. That's the thing. Because you're so far in front. And, can we make room for her? Boleh. Because... Can you be okay? Come, then you shift inside. Come. Kesian pula. You know what I mean? Then my wife will say, you show other people more concern than when I was pregnant. Normal. Comfortable, Okay. If you need help, let us know. Boleh? You got it? Okay, Alhamdulillah. Thanks for coming in. For those yang datang lambat, ada exam nanti dah. Where was I? Okay. Some of the other documents that you will need are actually documents related to the beneficiary. Related to the beneficiaries.
NRIC of all of them?
Correct. NRIC or birth cert. Because the courts need to see the relationship. Tengok, that's why birth cert is important. Because my birth cert will show that I am related to my parents. Her birth cert will show she is related to the parents. Okay? So in this case, for example, I pass away. My executor needs to get my birth cert, my death cert, my marriage cert, the children birth certificate, her own IC, her own birth cert to show this relationship. She has to get my parents' IC. And here's the best part. I baru cakap related kan? My parents punya marriage cert. And if my parents have passed on, my parents' death certificate. Mampus is not the right word, but yes, I get I understand where you're coming from. Mampus, yes. Dah mampus pun. Dah mampus pun. So the documents are something that we cannot stress enough because the courts will reject. We have my business partner, in fact, his mother passed away earlier this year. And he had to go through the whole process DIY. He did it himself. Dia tak engage lawyer. Boleh, it is possible. But back and forth. A lot of time spent, banyak. And not to say lawyer pun any good lah. We've heard lawyers, what they do. Oh, come down, we need you to sign this document. Come down, we need you to sign this document. Turns out, every time you come down and sign the document, because lawyer yang lupa. Lawyer dah lupa, the court send them back. Then nak kena, then angkat sumpah, oh lupa this document. Back and forth. So not all lawyers are great, No, betul. Serious. Swan. I got yuck berries with that. Okay, so kita tengok wasiat. Kalau kita meninggal tak ada wasiat, if we pass away without a wasiat, this is the general process and flow. Take a picture if you need to, take notes if you want to. But the first thing that happens if we pass away is this. Our assets are frozen. Boleh nampak? Because I pun tak nampak. That's the thing. I'll stand here, baru boleh nampak. Alhamdulillah. So, first thing that happens, of course, assets are frozen. Okay, when you look at the assets being frozen, what are assets that you can think of that are frozen? Bank accounts. First thing that is frozen are your bank accounts. So here's the next question. Does the bank know we pass away? Does the bank care?
No.
What will the bank do if they find out?
Dia melawan.
They freeze the account. I dulu kerja bank. I dulu Standard Chartered Bank at Raffles Place. Anybody saw me there? No? Standard Chartered Bank? Mana tahu, I'm macam celebrity. You know? So when your assets are frozen, you cannot take out money. Your money stuck there is just, well, frozen. Then the next process is the administrator, the next of kin, must apply for letter of administration and inheritance certificate. Kan I mentioned Family Justice Court and Sharia Court. Then that part is on the court punya side. Because tak ada wasiat. So the courts will then start to look for who is the administrator. Can there be multiple administrators? Yes. We just mentioned about family dispute and all. I have one case. They came to me, Afiq, can you refer us a lawyer? We need to, his father-in-law passed away, so tak ada wasiat. We need to apply for LOA quickly. I said, okay, refer a good lawyer. Okay, what? I said, what's the rush? I takut my brother-in-law apply. Oh, he's right. 2 weeks later, he called me. Afiq, my brother-in-law apply lawyer. Now both the lawyers are fighting. Who can get the letter of administration first? Does the court care? No, the court care both of you settle yourself first between each other, then I give you the letter of administration. So that one will take a while. And once that's settled, all the beneficiary must come together and say, okay, we agree to appoint this guy as the administrator. Kalau tak agree, contest, kecoh. Exactly what's happening. That case was June last year. As of November today, this year, I spoke to them last, I think October. Masih belum settle Masih belum settle. Once they get an administrator, then you need to get 2 guarantors. The guarantor is a specific requirement because the courts need to know that the person in charge is trustworthy. And the guarantor needs to show that they have assets equal to or greater than the estate. How many of you know millionaires? No? How many of you know the assets that other people have? No? How many of you have friends who are close to you who will tell you what they have? So now you think it's easy to get a guarantor? That's the long story short. After that, you get the power of attorney. Then you can, the administrator gets to uruskan everything. Sell the properties, close the bank account, gerbak, gebuk. Now this is a sample timeline. Typically we say, minimum, without a wasiat, to get your letter of administration, minimum 6 months. Minimum. Remember I told you about my business partner? Kan? When his mum passed away, they thought tak ada wasiat. So he applied, tak ada wasiat. The court say, immediately upfront, minimum 6 months. Court yang kata, minimum 6 months. But, just now my example with my 2 clients, dah 1 year plus dah, tak settle. Right? Typically, it can take up to 5 years. I have one about 4 years belum habis. The longest one we've heard so far, one of our participants within our class, she came to us, oh macam gini, dah biasa, cik dah biasa. What do you mean dah biasa, cik? Dah 17 tahun dah, tak dapat. Oh, okay, cik dah biasa. I'm like, cik kesian. Okay, 17 years. Why? Multiple wives, her father passed away, multiple wives, multiple assets offshore in Malaysia, in Singapore, and I think another country I can't remember. Indonesia. Kaya, memang. A lot of half siblings. The punya wives ada Malaysian, ada Indonesian. Kita kan je lah. Anak berlambak banyak. So do you think they were all happy that he passed away?
No.
So the timeline typically we see is, we'll take in terms of years. We look at it in terms of years. How many years will this take? All of this can be shortcut with a wasiat. Take a picture of this one, so important. Once you have a wasiat, simple, your executor, and the only person who can get the grant of probate is the executor. Because you already specify executor dia siapa. For example, in this case, Lina appoint myself. I should change this, aku tak nak mampus. Annoying kan? Asyik Afiq mati je. Kan? Afiq je mati. Ambil kau, okay dah. I love you. In case dia tengok. Astaghfirullahaladzim. Dosa. So in the event, say for example, Lina has appointed me as the executor. Since I'm the executor, nobody else can petition the court. But, kalau I slow, I lambat, I menangis, I love her so much, dia meninggal, I tunggu berbulan-bulan, kan, for example. Then her sister go and apply letter of administration. Can she get? Minimum 6 months. Minimum 6 months. That's why we always say, when it comes to applying for grant of probate, jangan lambatkan. Don't delay. In fact, if you delay more than 6 months, court will ask you to sign. Why? They will question and you have to angkat sumpah, kenapa you took so long? Ada. Because they suspect maybe something wrong ke, ada nasty business at the back ke. So that's the thing. If any of you who are an executor or have been appointed executor and you are aware, do it as fast as possible. Because the process itself memang asal aku mini beli tu? Kan, baru cakap dosa. Kan. Kan. I love you. Tak kata, nobody said. So, typically, when we see with a wasiat, like the example of my business partner, when his mum passed away, they found that the mother had done a wasiat. They found it. They found a wasiat that the older brother had done with the late mother and had appointed the older brother and him as the executor. The older brother said, tak apa, kau settle. The older brother stepped down. Can. He took the document, he DIY, he went to the different courts, he got it all done in 2 months. Had to pay a few fees here and there, but that's typical, court fees and all. He had to pay and dapat all done in 2 months. And so once you get the grant of probate, all the assets start to be unlocked. So that was a real life example. Just happened this year. Super fast. Because they understand that you've already appointed an executor, therefore this executor is somebody you trust. They only have to do the due diligence on your executor. Check, si dia ni siapa, what's his identity, what's the relationship, whether this person is of good standing. Because kalau tak, administrator, they have to go through one by one. So it takes a very long time. With a wasiat, shorten the entire process. Okay? Siapa sekarang nak tulis wasiat? Wow, tak ada orang. 1, 2, 3, okay. Lain semua, kita takkan meninggalnya kan. Takkan meninggalnya. Baru bangka. Okay. So, do I have time? Yes, I do have time. Okay, Alhamdulillah, I'm on time. Everybody with me so far? Yes. Am I going too fast? Korang jangan bidik. You came in late, you know, so okay. Okay, assets. Assets are something I must go over. Because like it or not, we all have assets. Right? This is just some of the assets that I can think of that we have managed to help people with. Typically HDB. Anybody living in a private? Just checking. Takut kan nak bilang? Kan, takut kan? Nanti dia tahu berapa kita ada. This is why I love my job. Yes. Okay, real estate. Whether it's HDB or if it's private, the same rules will apply. Okay, the same rules will apply. Not that they're the same thing, they are not the same thing, but the inheritance process applies to both private as well as HDB properties. There are certain differences when it comes to HDB and private, which I'll cover in a bit. But one of the most important things that we look at, real estate, is something we will say ownership. Okay, this ownership. So just bear in mind, ownership, I'll go back. How you own the asset is super important. Because rumah typically berapa orang? Husband and wife kan? Typically, but can there be more? Yes. Right? Kadang-kadang we put anak, kadang-kadang we put siblings. Can there be less? Can there be single ownership? Can. The manner of ownership is very important, I cannot stress this enough, in all of this, because it affects the inheritance process. Okay? Real estate I will cover in a few more slides, because that one we have to spend some time on that. Duit dalam bank. Anybody have a joint account? Joint account, joint account? Joint account, either to sign or both to sign? Either. Ada dua. Ada dua. Some joint accounts, both must sign. Right? Some joint accounts, either one can sign. Just now I mentioned, does the bank care we pass away? No, they don't. Do they know that we pass away? No, they don't. Okay. So this part, I will inform everybody, it's a bit of a grey area. A bit of a grey area. If I talk about bank account, either or to sign, it means both parties own the money. Not in any portion, but in full. For example, my wife and I, kita ada joint account. We have a joint account, I put in money. I put in money, she put in money, I put in money, she put in money. Do we care what's the proportion? Good husband will say don't care. The husbands who laugh, okay, good husband typically we don't care. If I pass away, by right she can take out all the money because it's hers, right? Legally speaking. But what if I put in $1 million? Alhamdulillah, that's why we love our job kan, about ada $1 million. No lah, I don't have. I put in $1 million inside. I put my wife's name. I pass away. She didn't contribute a single cent. Duit tu siapa punya? Legally speaking, it's hers. Dari segi faraid? Macam mana? Macam takut kan? By right, from a faraid perspective, because the person who contribute belongs to the person who passed away, the beneficiaries can contest. Can. Specifically joint account. Kalau my single name, it goes to my estate. Nobody else can touch. But joint account, we've seen cases where people contest. Dia kata tak, ni bapa aku taruh 1 juta, mak aku tak tahu langsung, aku nak hak aku. We've heard of cases that way. Have. And we all know, when it comes to money, family pun dia buang. Right? It's a very sad thing about it. And so, sometimes, it matters how you structure the account. For example, how many of you have accounts with your parents? Tak ada? I have account with my mum. Kan? Duit tu duit siapa? Together? Betul? Okay lah. The joint account I have with my mother, tu duit dia. But if she passes away, can I take it out? Can. So siapa punya duit? Kan tengok. Tadi husband and wife dia punya. Mak dia punya. But you're absolutely right. Because the niat was this. Mak buka account dengan Afiq so that boleh keluarkan apa-apa jadi. Anything happen to me, you can take out the money easily, right? But the money is hers. Right? The money is hers. I won't tell you how much. But the reality of it is this. That the reason why my name is there is to help the process if anything happen. By right, she told me, duit tu kau keluarkan, bagikan. Give it back to Faraid. Say, okay, mak. But when my mum passed away, you think bisikkan syaitan? Baru tadi, I open today with bisikkan syaitan kan? Takut I. Dia kat bawah kita kan? But, the reality again goes back to this. We must understand that a joint account doesn't necessarily mean it belongs 100% to either party. Because legally, dari segi the court's view, legally speaking, belongs to the other person, right? But from the faraid perspective, dari segi hukum, we have to answer to Allah Ta'ala when we are gone. And so the niat must be super clear. If mak I kata, okay Afiq, bila aku meninggal, duit ni semua terserah kepada kau, I give you 100% all. That can only be okay if my sister say yes. And my dad say yes. Because they're still around. Remember inner circle? Inner circle. Because in this case, I am the son. So I block everything. Mak kata semua tu Afiq, okay. If my adik sign. Adik I sign tak? Adik I lawyer tau. Lagi, no. So this one has to be discussed with your beneficiaries. Just now I talked about considerations. Have to discuss with your beneficiaries. Is there a way to, how do I say this? Is there a way to bypass faraid? Ada? Not in the wasiat. Ada. Sekarang semua interested kan? Ada, kan? Ada. It's not in the slides. I did not cover it in the slides because it's a bit more complicated. But in Singapore's context, ada dua. Ada hibah rukbah, which is mostly used for property. I'll cover property in a few more slides. And nuzriah. Write this down. Nuzriah. Okay, a nuzriah is a legal document. It is conditional vow that you have to pay a penalty if you break this vow, based on the word nazar. A nuzriah is a legal document that states, upon my death, these assets named herein will go to the survivor. It only works for survivor. So nuzriah is specific for bank account. Typically we use for bank account. So buat contoh, my wife and I, kita ada nuzriah kan? To prevent ni dua beruang from contesting. InsyaAllah, anak yang soleh, insyaAllah. I can write a nuzriah that say, if I pass away, the money goes to my wife. Then for her case, she also, okay, I tulis nuzriah, anything happen goes to Afiq. Boleh. Nuzriah is one way. Why did I mention one way? Just now, me and my mum. Remember? We have a joint account, me and my mum. I buat nuzriah, kalau I meninggal, duit ni bagi mak I. Because it belongs to her. Does my mother need to tulis nuzriah to give back to me? Tak payah. Sebab tu duit dia. Tu duit dia. So if I pass away, my beneficiaries cannot contest duit tu joint account, bapak aku punya, aku nak hak. No, it belongs to my mum because I'm the deceased. So if I write nuzriah, it goes to my mum. My mum pass away, it doesn't go to me. Legally, I can take out, correct? Legally. But sebab tak ada nuzriah, if my sister decides to contest, she gets a portion. So insyaAllah, I pula anak soleh, I will say, okay, bagi balik kat estate mak I, then distribute to Faraid. So all this is all part of your planning process. Notice from start to finish, I tak berbual pasal wasiat about joint account. Tak ada. It's got nothing to do with the wasiat. It is simply another asset that you have to think about. Questions on bank account. This part I must ask question. Anyone? The question is whether your parents want you to know or not. Of course, you must know. So later when we talk about what goes into your estate plan, some of the supporting documents I recommend people have is something called a schedule of assets. It's just basically an Excel sheet of whatever you have, rumah, bank account, investment account, apa-apa. So by right, your parents, you must know if you are the executor, but it doesn't mean you must know now. For example, I tulis wasiat, I include my schedule of assets, I include my letter of wishes. I don't have to tell ni dua beruang what I have. Tak payah. Tak payah, you know, some people find it annoying that I call it beruang. Beruang perangai beruang. Biar beruang, jangan monyet. But they don't need to know. My beneficiaries don't need to know. My executor also don't need to know. I just have to tell my executor, engkau executor, setuju ke tak? Okay, dah. Executor don't need to know what I have. Only upon death, then they will see all the documents. So it's okay. Okay? So I wasn't joking whether your parents want you to know or not. Even my parents don't want me to know. But I know. Okay, so I move on. The next few items, jewelry, furniture, these are what we call movable assets. For example, the ring, so wedding ring custom made, my wife buat. Dia kata, when we get married, I want you to wear a ring. I said, why? Aku takut. I cancel, kira kan. Muntah aku. But movable assets, benda ni, this ring, is there a name on it? Ownership siapa? Tak ada kan? Kalau terceceh, somebody pick it up, nobody knows who owns this. So things like your barang kemas, jewelry. Home furnishing is interesting because I have an auntie. They do a lot of business, diorang kaya raya, Alhamdulillah. My favourite auntie of all. Not because dia kaya. Tengok. Not because dia kaya. Sebab dia mulut lezat. I love her to bits. I satu hari pergi hari raya, pergi rumah dia, ada sofa baru, cantik, wah, sit down, wah, nice, wah, auntie, this sofa very nice, wah, yeah, this one. I custom make Italian leather, I import, oh, cantik, oh, best. How much this one, auntie? 50,000. Aku tu terbangun, takut nak duduk. $50,000. That sofa got value, right? That sofa got value, but do we know who own it? Tak ada nama apa? Dia tak nama, ada certificate ni yang belongs to auntie mana-mana, tak ada. But got value, right? So tadi somebody, Abang Mana was asking about barang-barang kat rumah, right? Your perabot and all, yes? Abang Razali, right? You asked me, yes, about your furnishings at home. Sometimes it's not just furnishing. Sometimes can be collectibles, can be artwork. I have a client who collect painting. Cantik. I also have a brother-in-law who collect toys. My children pergi rumah dia, can I play? No! Semua dia punya toys cantik, very nice. All those got value, collectibles. Correct, he spent thousands and thousands of dollars on those toys. Kepada I, permainan je. But to him, no, got value. He maintains an Excel spreadsheet, this figurine bought on what date, how much, estimated value berapa. The crazy collector, you understand, right? The collector gila. Got value. So all these movable things, there is no proof who purchased. That's where your schedule or asset, remember the list? The schedule or asset comes in. Write in everything you own. You know, cincin, emas lah, rantai lah. Typically, gold is the one that people go and attack first. So write it down. My nenek lagi best. I will talk about this, of course. Then I told her, Nek, all your jewelry, you must either, you know, plan for it, or you want to give it away. Okay. A few months later, she called all the sisters, all the female cousins, and I was there. Dia bagi, kau ni ambil ni, kau ambil ni, kau ambil ni. Alhamdulillah, because you're still alive, can bagi hibah. Right? You're still alive, it's in your control, you can give hibah. Then I duduk sana, ambil ni, tak dapat. Kau lelaki baru dapat. Okay. Sedih. Tapi nenek doakan kau. Okay. Nak emas juga. So the important thing to understand is movable assets. Okay, movable assets. Today, typically people will ask me about jewelry, about zakat. Ni not about zakat today. So if you've got a question about zakat, you have to attend our zakat class. Vehicles. Vehicles is also something important. Because in my family, my dad drives the car. My mum owns the car. So, if my dad passes away, kereta belong to who? My mum. If my mum passes away, kereta belong to who? Not to my dad, to her estate. To her estate. So by right, she is supposed to, or the executor is supposed to liquidate the car and then distribute according to Faraid. Just now I mentioned, certain things you can be, Razalius, you asked about jam kan? Yes, okay. So, in the case where I have specific items I want to give somebody when I pass away, for example, jewelry, for example, kereta, right? I can also put in my letter of wishes and say, upon my passing, give this asset to this beneficiary as part of their inheritance. So for example, kita dah buat the 1/8, 1/2, blah 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 kan? Total berapa? 100,000. Kereta, also 100,000. Ask him, you want the car? The wishes was to give you the car worth 100,000 to you as your inheritance. If you say yes, okay, then boleh. Okay? Vehicles are, okay, investments. Investments are interesting because typically investments are all in single name. Single name. Kan? If you invest in unit, I'm not talking about insurance investment because insurance you can nominate, which we'll cover later. Things like your unit trust, your stocks and shares. Siapa pernah invest in cryptocurrency? Have you lost money? So have I. Sakit lah. But kita muda insyaAllah, we can make more insyaAllah. All these investments are usually in single account names, in single names. That's why again, go back to your schedule of assets, tulis unit trust, buat contoh kat iFast ke, kat Philips Securities ke, kat mana. Cryptocurrency, which wallet address, tulis. Everything all in, so that your executor can find. Because in single name, it goes back to your estate. Okay, now I am aware of a few accounts out there that allow to be joined, then it will go to the other party, but too deep for me to go in today. Insurance and CPF. These two, yes.
The car is outstanding, still can.
Ada insurance kan?
For the car.
The car should typically will have insurance to cover. Excluding the loans, yes. Can. Boleh, assuming that the loans can be paid off before it is given away. Boleh. So, but if the loans cannot be paid off, for example, tak ada insurance cover or whatever, then by right, the beneficiary, if they take the car, they must pay off the loan, the balance, or sell the car and then take the money. Boleh. So outstanding loan, that's why I always say, from an insurance perspective, you want to have some coverage to prevent other people from having to take the money away. Okay? Insurance and CPF, important because these two things have something called nomination. Pernah dengar? Nomination. Okay, so nomination is, yes, okay. I won't cover nomination right now, but in a few more slides. But this is the one that gives you a little bit more control over your estate. Okay? There is baik dengan buruk of nominating and not nominating. There are purposes to it. I'm going to cover, okay, tak apa, we'll move on first. I'll get to that slide. So let's cover ownership for a bit. Because the ownership is important. I mentioned rumah. Kan? I mentioned rumah. First off, we have joint tenancy and tenancy in common. How many of you are aware of what is the ownership of your house? As in, confirm plus chop, I know it is joint tenancy or tenancy in common. You know, confirm? Because some folks, dia kata, agaknya. The word agaknya is dangerous. We have seen cases where people go, dah taruh nama dah, we put all the names in. Okay. When we check pass on that, the house is in single ownership. Dia taruh nama occupier. There's a difference between owner and occupier. Okay? Owner, occupier. Right? Parents, bears. Zookeeper, animals. Ni tak payah love you, I know they know I love them. But it is super important to understand. Because when it comes to real estate, the manner of ownership is super important. Single ownership, that means I pass away, the house goes straight to my estate. Joint, it means both parties or all parties own 100%. Can there be multiple joint tenants? Ada. My sister-in-law, my mother-in-law, and actually the second sister. Okay, so scenario when I got married, my mother-in-law punya rumah was in single name. Previously, that particular Woodlands flat was in joint name, my mother-in-law and my technically nenek-in-law. Mak dia lah, right? Pernah dengar? Tak pernah dengar kan? Nenek-in-law tak pernah dengar kan? Nenek-in-law. First time I used that today. Nenek passed away just before we got married. So nenek passed away. Because it is joint tenancy, my mother-in-law inherit the house in full. Even though she got other siblings and all that. Because my mother-in-law have, I think, two other sisters. Diorang tak dapat hak. Go straight to my mother-in-law. So now single ownership. My mother-in-law told me, if I pass away, who gets the house? I said, my wife, Lina, will get. The two sisters will get. Your husband will get. But because you have no sons, remember the circle? Where is the male heir? Tak ada. Because husband is not male heir. Father, self, son. My mother-in-law, my father passed away a long time ago. She got no sons. So how? My mother-in-law punya brother dapat a big share. Isn't it? Yes, that's the right word. Yes. So yeah. So for her case, she did the inheritance certificate. Dia dah tahu abang dia will get a certain portion at that point in time. She put the daughter's name. So she put daughter's name, okay? 2 daughters and her. So 3 orang. Saya tak ada 3 tangan lah. So 2 daughters, mother-in-law. Joint tenancy. So in the event my mother-in-law passed away at that point, the 2 sisters will own the house in full. Second sister got married, took out the name. Left with herself and the third sister. Now third sister getting married. February next year. Alhamdulillah. Dia berbual dengan saya pasal ni. Now back to single ownership. How? How indeed. Tu soalan nanti. So, joint tenancy means the survivor owns 100%. Tenancy in common means each party has a specific share. I have a case where the wife, the lady is my client, she changed her joint tenancy from 100% to from joint tenancy 100 husband and wife. She changed from joint tenancy to tenancy in common. She owned 90%. She gave 10% to the second husband because the first husband passed away. Gave 10% to the second husband, and she said, this is my gift to him. By right, the house in single name. It's all mine, but I want to give share. So she decided to do that. Boleh. Nothing wrong. In the event where she passes away, the house will be liquidated, 90% go to her estate, 10% given to the husband. Okay? Tak langgar Faraid, this one tak langgar, because it is given. The question then becomes, what if, can you put a joint tenancy in a tenancy in common? In this particular example, we had one case. The father went into a property purchase with the son. The father went tenancy in common, 50-50. Father take 50, son take 50. Son got married. Wife cocok, I want a share. Asal macam terperanjat? Wife say, make this portion joint tenancy. So if you pass away, the wife gets full, 100% of this share. Could they have split this part 25-25? Boleh. Wife kata tak nak. I want that 50%. So this is all part of the planning process that they have. Baik buruk, tak kisah. It's just the consequences that happens at the end of the day. Right? This is all part of your planning. So there was a fatwa in 2019, baru je. MUIS says because of the joint tenancy contract, we no longer have to do a hibah. Dulu nak kena buat hibah. To say, okay, if I pass away, nak kena tulis hibah, rumah pergi kat isteri, goes to my wife in this case. Dah tak payah as of 2019. So we don't have to do a hibah anymore. That's why I mentioned nuzriah instead of hibah. Fatwa, yeah, if you want a reference, is there. Questions on real estate and housing? Okay, got to speed up a little bit. Takut nanti tak habis. HDB, private property. Slight difference, eh? Private property, I can put into a trust. A bit more advanced. A trust is simply a separate entity. I can put asset inside, give them instruction. Buat contoh, I can say, the trust is meant to benefit my descendants and cucu cicit all the way down. Whatever money is to be given to these people, as long as there is still money in the trust, can. So that is a trust. HDB tak boleh masuk trust. Private property boleh. Right? In fact, there are some trust properties, for example, the Al-Sagof Fund. You know? How many of you heard of MTFA, Muslim Trust Fund Association? Something similar. It's a trust, so they hold assets. HDB aja yang tak boleh masuk trust. Okay, I'm going to move on. CPF. Siapa ada CPF? Kita self-employed pun ada CPF. CPF, okay. The thing about CPF is this. There is something called nomination. How many CPF accounts we all have? OA, SA, those who are a bit older will say RA, MA, SRS. There's quite a few. SRS. That one is optional. For today's class, the thing to understand about CPF is you can nominate. Nominate means, kalau aku meninggal, this money, in a specific proportion that I specify, how many percent, goes to this person. Can I specify more than one nominee? Can. Example. Afiq nominates Lina 100%. I pass away, Lina gets 100%. Afiq nominate Lina 98%. 98%. It's just CPF, eh? 98%. Arya 1%. Adam 1%. I die, 100,000. Lina get 98,000. Arya and Adam get 1% each. Okay? Clear, eh? Kalau Lina tak ada? Asyik doakan dia tak ada je. Kalau Lina tak ada, this portion is split. Because there are multiple nominees. What if Lina 100%? Then Lina pass away before me. It is revoked. It is revoked. Let me clean this up a little bit. Okay, for specific to CPF. If I do 100% to Lina, and Lina passes away before me, the death of a nominee revokes the nomination. So, yes, correct. So in this case, if I do 100% here, and then Lina pass away, this 100% go back to me.
What happens if you forget
If I forget,
to renominate?
then you bear the consequences of what happened. Call Afiq. Call Afiq. Okay, call Afiq. But what if, then we go again back here. Arya and Adam. Tadi dekat habis ink. Okay, Arya and Adam. So if I do 1% each, kan? Just now I mentioned 1% each. 1, and Lina is 98%. if Lina passes away, this one is then split down this way, remember?
Yeah.
Okay? Important to understand, because for those of us who have children or those of us who want to plan to give away, if the person you nominate passes away, the balance is then distributed in proportion to the surviving nominees.
Yeah, but if there's no surviving nominees,
Everything will go back to my estate.
if you forget to renominate,
Forget?
then they will.
Go back to my estate.
Okay.
Go back to my estate. The reason I mention this is because for those of us who have young children or are expecting, the concern is, why are we nominating in the first place? There is a consequence to nominating and a consequence to not nominating. Kalau I want to nominate, great. That means I want my wife to get the money to take care of the bears. Kalau duit tu sangkut pergi my estate, you saw, right? A few months. If my wife cannot work, tak ada kerja, tak ada duit, then how? CPF nominations are paid out quite quickly. Within a few weeks of the person's death, paid out already. So she gets the money to uruskan the family. Simple as that. But if my intention is to keep it within the family, remember I said, Mom and Dad, if 100% to Lina, she pass away, it goes back to me, and then I pass away, goes to the estate, Arya and Adam get 2 shares, 1 share, my folks get 1/6 each. It's not fully to her, to them. So that's why the way we plan what goes where is super important. Once we understand the flow of the money, later I'll show you the flows. Okay? So there was a fatwa from Muiz that says, nominations for CPF, okay. Dulu orang kata, oh tak boleh nominate, haram. It's okay. Right? So since the kids are nominated, they are minors, they only get the money when they turn 18. So in the event where, in this case, 1,000, 1%, the money goes to them. PTO, Public Trustee Office, will hold the money for them until they turn 18, then they give. Nah, here's the check. Okay, here's the check. Apa dia?
With interest.
With interest? No. No, not with interest. Actually, no. Tak ada. Ada tak? I can't remember. PTO give interest or not? I don't think so, right? I'll check. But thanks for reminding me. I forgot about that part. Where was I? Okay. They will hold until you turn 18. The guardian, remember the guardian? The guardian, the people in charge. If they need extra cash, they can petition PTO for the money, but only up to half. Maximum is half. That's written into law already, so cannot change. The question for nomination and planning is this. We have one case study. My business partner, again, he's in the same field as me. He has a client who the husband passed away, left the nomination to the sole surviving son, 100%, to the tune of $400,000 to $500,000. Banyak. Anak dia rosak sikit. The mother called, panicking. He's turning 18 next year. He's going to get access to that money. How can we stop him from getting the money? That's the right answer. No way. This was before COVID. This was pre-COVID. Last we checked, duit tu dah habis pun. Okay, I'm going to leave that at that. Okay, there's 3 kinds of nomination. Long story short, cash nomination, enhanced nomination goes back to the CPF, and trust nomination, special needs trust. So cash nomination, if I pass away, Lina gets in cash. Enhanced nomination is, if I pass away, it goes to her CPF. Lagi dia marah lagi, aku tak boleh keluarkan. Okay? And special needs trust is for people who have special needs children. Go to the SNTC Special Needs Trust Company, administered by Singapore government, and then you can give instruction, give how much per month, take care of the special needs kids. Ada. Insurance, okay. Notice the big difference right at the bottom. Just now, CPF nomination is revoked upon death. So if my wife passes away, my nomination is revoked, distributed accordingly to the surviving nominees, or goes back to my estate. Okay? Insurance nominations are not revoked. So if I nominate Lina, 98%, for my insurance policy, she passes away before me, then I pass away. That 98% of that insurance policy is paid to her estate. Big difference. Something to really take note upon. Insurance nominations, not revoked upon death, marriage, or divorce. Is not. CPF nomination is revoked upon death and marriage. So for those of us, especially when I run classes for sometimes we run classes for NS men. And the NS men, typically when they're single, they do nomination. Then when they get married, the nomination is revoked. Then they have to redo. But upon death, it's not divorce, sorry. Divorce is not revoked. Same for insurance. So we have cases where people come to us, how come my husband bought insurance, but I don't get any money? Check nomination, mistress. Kelakar tapi benar. Betul, ada. So not revoked. We also have cases where my ex-husband, right, suddenly I got money from my ex-husband because the ex-husband nominated her, but not revoked. So do you think she happy or not? Ni I tak tahu. You all ketawa. I make the joke, I'm not bad. You all ketawa. Okay, I still have some time. Important considerations. This one, I think Puan Noraini. Where are you tadi? Puan Noraini? Oh, there, kat belakang. She mentioned, she asked about LPA. So these three considerations, I stress this over and over again because this only takes effect when you're still alive. Wasiat bila kita meninggal. Lasting power of attorney is simple. If I dah nyanyuk, I'm in a coma, I'm a vegetable, my wife, whoever I nominate to be my LPA, can uruskan things. Open accounts, close accounts, admit me to hospital, etc. Because I am still alive. As long as you're still alive and breathing, you're not dead. Wasiat doesn't kick in until you are dead. Dah meninggal baru pakai wasiat. Sebelum, tengok LPA. And talking about being a vegetable, AMD is the next one. Advanced Medical Directive. Advanced Medical Directive, you go to MOH, Ministry of Health. Go to their website, download the form, specify. Should we keep you alive artificially if you are no longer brain dead or organ failure? Siapa tengok medical drama? Kan? In the US, DNR, do not resuscitate. I cakap AMD, orang tak faham. I cakap DNR, diorang faham. Drama tu drama. Alhamdulillah. Wait. AMD, you go to MOH website. LPA, last I checked, as of 14th of November this year, Alhamdulillah, you can apply LPA online for free. So, go and Google, go to PTO my website, or is it MSF? MSF go to MSF website, follow the online instructions, pakai SingPass, apply for LPA. You can appoint up to, tak salah I, 2 or 3 donors. You are, donor, correct. The donee is the person doing the donation, the donor is the person getting it. Or is it the other way around? Donee kan? Kan? It's confusing kan? So the person who you appoint is the one allowed to administer to you when you're still alive but dah nyanyuk. Can we do an LPA lepas dah nyanyuk? No. Of course not. Tak boleh. Okay? Last one, advanced care planning. This one is also on MSS website. What is it? MOH. Banyak MOH banyak. So many things for us to understand. ACP is interesting. It is not a document. ACP is a set of questions that they walk you through to know about your final wishes when you are still alive but dah nyanyuk. Okay, when you are no longer able to care for yourself, specify. I want to be at home. I want to be in a home. I want who to take care of me. These are my wishes. I want to be, put near a park, for example. Ada. What are the medications? Who are the people in charge of me? Advanced care planning. So all these three are when you are still alive. Okay, important considerations. Got 5 minutes. Kalau kita overrun sikit, okay? Okay, tak kisah. Awak tak kisah, I nak terkencing. Okay, case studies. What if we don't have sons? This one, quite extended. What if I don't have sons? Kalau tak nampak, I will walk you through it. Okay, kalau tak nampak, I'll walk you through it. I will stand over there. So in this case, Mr. Ali, anybody here name Ali? Just checking. Tak ada, kalau ada minta maaf. Ni just example. So Mr. Ali passes on. He leaves behind 2 children, a wife and 2 daughters. He's got some money in the bank account. Is it common that we have this kind of situation where the suri rumah, the housewife, depends on the sole breadwinner? for allowance, take care of the family, take care of the house, take care of the kids. Account frozen. Account frozen. Cannot take out money. Right? Then how? Dah tak ada duit. Even though she got the ATM card, still cannot. Frozen. Right? Or another way is, they only have joint tenancy, HDB. Kan? So joint tenancy in HDB goes to the wife, great, they got a place to stay. They got a place to stay. But everything else is in single name. The house is in the bank account is in single name, whatever investments he has in single name, insurance tak tahu whether nominated ke tak, right? And remember, insurance if not nominated, the proceeds go back to the estate. Doesn't go to the wife. Very important, if I don't nominate my insurance, it goes back to my estate. So in this case, dia dah buat insurance claim, but the check kata estate of the late Mr. Ali. Can the wife take the money?
No.
Cannot. So then now we say, in this case, the wife dapat 1/8, sebab ada anak kan, so 1/8, children, that balance, and then the siblings. The children 2/3 is because daughters. Then the siblings. Leceh sebab Ali got 5 brother and sister. Then how? So who's going to take the administration? Who's going to take over? Is it the wife? She still take care of the children. Adik-beradik, kadang-kadang slow because all have to agree. All have to agree who will do administrator. Frankly, today, let's ask. If anybody pass away, you all dare to become administrator? Kerja I pun takut. Right? And so, in the meantime, susah. But all this can be shortcut if there is a wasiat. With a wasiat, Mr. Ali can then say, okay, I appoint my brother. Go and do the executor work for me. Get the grant of probate. Do all that is necessary. Give the money to my wife, for example. Can. Because with a wasiat, the whole thing is shortcut. Cepat. Family dah tak gaduh. Because he can say, tak apa, abang dah suruh, abang 1 suruh buat abang 2 buat. Jadi abang 1 and abang 2. Improves the whole family situation, insyaAllah. Okay, so this is the case when we don't have sons. Quite common. The next one is this one, where I am sad to say is also quite common. In this particular example, again, Mr. Ali passed away, survived by the wife, anak dah dewasa, the daughter Wati. Wife stay with the daughter, and he has a brother Amin. Anybody nama Amin tak? Minta maaf kalau tergunakan. Okay. He has a flat in single name. Can I replace flat with anything in single name? Can. I can replace bank account with single name, investment single name, insurance with single name. I can replace anything with single name. Tak ada wasiat. Of course, Wati dengan mak dia, sedih, bapak dah meninggal. Tak apa abang, kau handlekan the administrator. We cannot handle. And we see this very common. When there is a death in the family, it is very, very sad, yes? To the point where semua stress, people lupa ada wasiat. Lupa ada insurance. Lupa ada bank account, semua dia lupa. The people who remember are not in the family. Okay? If I pass away, Lina will forget everything. But the people outside of the family will remember. And so in this particular case, the mere brother Amin dapat administrator power, nampak rumah ni in single name. Amin is the male heir. Remember, mak bapak tak ada anak lelaki, who gets a big portion? Is it in his best interest to sell the house quickly? Of course. Jeng. Okay, so those are some case studies that I managed to put in. We've got plenty of other scenarios. Banyak. Last one is this one, very close to my heart. Okay, so the reason we highlighted this one is appoint somebody you trust. Right? Appoint somebody you trust. Can it be Wati even? Can. And Wati will be the only one who can claim the house? Can. But then the question is this, does Amin still get a portion of the house? Yes, sebab Faraid. But then, at least they have some control over who gets what and when. Important. Okay, so this one, also we say, if you can, change to joint tenancy. Helps a little bit. This one close to my heart. Because I have my own 2 children. So in the case where both parents pass away, suddenly, we have seen cases. And really close, 7 and 4. My children are exactly 7 and 4. Tak ada wasiat. 2 scenarios will happen. Number 1, my nenek-in-law, kan, nenek-in-law, datuk-in-law, the grandparents, they will fight. They will fight because why? You ask ni dua beruang, who's your favourite nenek? Nenek this one. The second nenek, no, you also my favourite. Dua-dua favourite. Right? So they will fight. They will fight. They will say, aku nak jaga budak-budak ni. They are my favourite cucu. Yeah. I don't believe. And they will fight. We have seen multiple times because no clear guardian. In fact, one of the stories that is so close to my heart is a very good friend of mine. His name is Dan, short for Hamdan, but Abang Dan. Abang Dan is 53, 54, I think. Quite successful chap. His brother-in-law passed away. His sister married this gentleman. This gentleman passed away. Tak ada wasiat. He passed away in his sleep very suddenly. The sister had depression. Tak boleh kerja. So housewife, stressed. Brother-in-law passed away. Anak 9. Went to court. Administrator, debat. Court kata, okay, 9 children, right? Mother is unfit to care for the children. No guardian. Anak-anak pergi mana? Orphanage. Court say, go to orphanage. No fit guardian, no next of kin. Go ahead. Abang Dan told me this story. He called one of his lawyer friends, high-end male. He paid through the nose, overnight, adopted all 9. He was age 30-something. So dah 20 over years. Anak semua dah besar-besar. Some are still small. But overnight, father of 9. How much he had to pay? 14,000 per child. Plus time I financial advisor pun came salam. 24 hours he became an overnight dad. Sebab tak ada wasiat. So for me, very, very close to my heart. Who are my guardians? Second case study, this one we've seen also. They see a pair of orphans. In fact, banyak movie follow this kan? A pair of orphans, mak bapak dia meninggal, but mak bapak dia kaya, banyak duit. Who has control over the estate? The administrator, right? Who has control over the children's inheritance? The guardian. So, macam best kan? In fact, there was one newspaper article a few years back. There was this orphan, this guy, who once he hit 21, he sued his 2 aunties who were the guardians. He sued the guardians. He said, the guardians misused the money, did not give me enough. So a few years back. So, ada. So there are cases like this. So once you have this, the things to understand is when there are children involved, it becomes very, very sensitive. Courts are very, very sensitive when there are children involved. In fact, if there are children living in the house, remember, occupiers, the courts will say, don't sell the house. Hold until the occupiers no longer need the house, then you can sell. So even if the house is in single name, the children are listed as occupiers, the widow is taking care, the house cannot be sold until the children are independent. Right? So the courts are very, very sensitive, especially when it comes to children. When during the inheritance process, they will ask you for guarantors, which are the sureties. Okay, they will ask for guarantors. And these guarantors, remember earlier I said, they must show that they have assets equal to or greater than the inheritance. Today, inheritance, not very difficult to pass 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. In fact, I joke a lot of the times, but it's true. 1 million is not difficult. Tengok, rumah dah 500,000. Right? Typically, rumah dah 500,000. Kita beli insurance, takkan 100,000 je, right, today? Right? Some of the way we calculate, I do for my clients $1 million coverage. Pass away $1 million. You sound surprised, but it's not. Think about it this way, Ni side note. Budak ni 4 tahun. He will be independent at age 24, after NS, after uni. Today, I open up. My family expenditure is about $5,000 a month. $5,000 a month. You know, the bears are hungry. You know? Okay, 4 years old. Per month I spend 5,000. Per year is 60,000. Correct? Times 20 years, he is only independent until age 24. 60 times 20, 1.2 million. So is it natural for me to be covered at least minimum 1.2? If today I pass away, she will need 1.2 to cover ni dua. So typically, anybody wants to say, oh tak apa, aku jadi guarantor, aku dah 1.2 million. Belum kira rumah, belum kira lain-lain, gerak-geruk. So frankly, when it comes to sureties, it can be very, very difficult. people can what do you call that? Appeal for dispensation. That means tak payah security, tak payah surety, tak payah apa ni, administrator, tak payah. If the estate is small meaning less than 50,000. Is it easy to hit 50? 50. Is it easy to hit? Today, how many of you have DPS, Dependent Protection Scheme? Kan? Letter from GE semua dah dapat kan? Minimum how much? Dispensation is small. Takkan jadi. Okay, and typically if the parent is the administrator, then they'll say, okay, we waive off the need for the surety. Right? Okay, kalau kita ada wasiat, insyaAllah, have your guardian, especially remember, testator, executor, guardian, then it speeds up the process, makes it a lot easier. Okay? Avoid your family conflict, you know, and you choose the trusted person to take care of the kids' inheritance. Because like I mentioned, kalau kita kata 1.2 million here and there, not uncommon. Imagine if I had nominated my children, a millionaire at 4 years old, millionaire at 7 years old. Kan? Anybody who want to attack their inheritance. And so, I stress this again and again. Must have a wasiat. Because tulis wasiat, it forces you to think about your plan. Who gets what? Because this is what happens kalau kita tak ada. The frozen assets, number one. After that, you must go through the whole thing, you know, pay for your funeral expenses, pay for your debts, pay for your loans, baru bagi faraid. Faraid is last. For example, today, the cost of burial is roughly about $1,500 to $2,000. Roughly lah, eh. The hutang, there's a difference between debts and loans, eh. A debt is something you cannot pay. A loan is something you can continually pay. Right? So in the case where, in this case, if say for example, somebody passed away with $1 million, minus off $2,000 for burial, okay lah. But hutang sekali $500,000, minus off another loan dia ada sini, the guarantor sana, tinggal faraid 100,000. Have you seen cases like that? Yes. In fact, we have seen cases faraid kosong. Kosong. Tak beli insurance, tak protect themselves, meninggal, rumah all in a huge loan, zero. Ada. But we also have seen where when a person does the proper plan, where you really think about who, what, and how. These are the three things that you must take away from today. Who, what, and how. Who are the people involved? My beneficiaries. My executor, my guardian. Witness, you tak nak fikir, tak apa. Call us, we help you witness. Right? But who is your executor? Who is your guardian? Who are the people involved? Who? What? Your assets. Asset, tadi I just showed you the big slide. Rumah, barang kemas, CPF insurance. Go ahead. Banyak benda. A lot of things you have to consider. And when you start planning, can you then say, okay, CPF insurance, I do this. Nominate this way. Rumah, joint tenancy, or I switch to tenancy in common if need to. Or if I shift back to single ownership. Boleh. Some people do that for that specific reason. Do I need to do a nuzriah? All these are the questions that we will help you ask. Because in our line, when we help our clients, it's a long process. One of the things that we do, we always say this, the last document we give you is the wasiat. Last one. First, you must have your report. The report contains who, what, how. Because this is the how. Your faraid distribution, how many shares? Important to understand that before you write a wasiat, you must have everything prepared first. Kalau wasiat salah tulis, tak kisah. Write a new one. But if you're not clear on who gets what and how and when, you tulis wasiat pun no point. What? Okay. Macam mana? Wait. Q&A. Any questions? Wah, 10 minutes. Yes.
Let's say both parents, one parent meninggal first,
Mm.
the other one. Let's say my mom, after my mom passed away, so no more parents can. And my mom did mention that do not sell the house if there's someone staying there.
Okay.
Am I supposed to sell the house or?
Okay, fantastic question. So, I repeat the question, okay? In this case, both parents are not around, but there are occupiers in the house, and your mother's wishes are not to sell the house until there's nobody else living there. Correct? What your mom just said is in line with the court ruling also. Courts will say don't sell the house until the dependents who require the house are no longer living there. So can, absolutely. In that case, the courts are in your favor. But I must stress this. list them as occupiers, please. You can go to HDB website, list them as occupiers.
So let's
Easier.
say someone fight for, I want the Faraid punya house.
Contest in court. They will contest in court, and the court typically what we see will rule in favor of the minor beneficiaries or the occupiers. Depends on who the occupier is. If the occupier is not a child, already independent, dah besar, dah boleh kerja, cari duit sendiri, the courts will actually say, never mind, sell the house. The other person, who is, for example, an adult child, is independent already, what? Earning money, can find, go and rent her own house, etc., etc. So can. So it depends on the situation as well. Ambil lebih.
Sorry.
Any more questions, folks?
So like by example, I have 4 children, I pass on, right? For example, about 2 boys and 2 girls, right?
Okay.
So can I equal share if I do a will? Which I override the...
Okay, I repeat the question. So in the case where I want to give equal to the boy and the girl, right? Give equal. Can. If all the beneficiaries agree in writing. In this case, look at your beneficiaries. So in the case I say my situation, Adam gets twice as much as Arya. So I say tak apa, I nak fair. Both get the same amount. Who must, in this case, sign off and say they agree? Who? If I die, who agree? Lina must agree. Who else? My parents must agree. And ni dua beruang tak boleh sign nantilah. But they cannot. So they cannot. The rest of the beneficiaries must agree, then it will go. But when they are adults, the sister must agree with the brother, assuming my parents are still around, assuming my wife is around. So all the beneficiaries must agree in writing, then can. To follow up to that question also. If there is no writing, then how? But that's your wishes. You tulis. I have a letter. I say to my beneficiaries, I want you to equalize amongst my children. Can you do that? Yes, you can. Is it applicable in court? No, it's not. The executor then has the right to follow your letter. At the point of distribution, he will say, okay, the late so-and-so, Mr. So-and-so, kata, to give equal share. All of you present are the beneficiary. Are you all agreeable? If all of them on the spot say yes, then okay. Court takkan kacau punya, because there is agreement within. Yes, sir.
Is this a half agree, half not agree?
Tak boleh, ikut Faraid.
Or
Even
all-
one person disagree, tak boleh.
But it's only the inner circle of the beneficiary, right?
Tak, regardless.
Okay.
Who is the one who's getting it? Because kalau outer circle, tak kisah, tak dapat apa-apa. Hak zero. Hak zero. Nak contest, tak boleh. Because you got no share.
No, but that one's legally, but Faraid is acceptable.
Faraid also okay. Yes. Faraid also acceptable if all of them agree. Agreement is key because in Islam we talk about niyat, sama. Any more questions?
Because I thought you can only bequest 1/3 of it, right?
Okay, I did not cover that part. Bequest, you cannot bequest to beneficiary. Did I cover? I can't remember. You cannot bequest to a beneficiary. In this event, I tak ada, I cannot say in my wasiat tulis, bagi extra bagi Arya, extra bagi Adam. Tak boleh. Cannot. Because they are in my inner circle, they are my beneficiary. I cannot say give more to my mum, give more to my dad. Cannot. Because they are in my circle. But can I say, give a little bit to my mother-in-law and my father-in-law? Boleh. They are outside. Can I give a little bit to my guardian? Can. Buat duit susah, duit kopi jaga ni dua beruang. Boleh. Can I say, if my executor is my business partner, can I give $10,000 to my executor buat duit susah? Boleh. Outside of the beneficiary. Okay, so bequest you can, as long as it's outside of the beneficiary. You had a question?
So like format to follow.
Oh, we've got templates that we use. There is a specific format, but there is no government accepted standard. Tak ada, because every law firm will write in a slightly different way. So for us, we are qualified to do basic wasiats, front and back, where we have testator, executor, guardian, bequest portion, witnesses. We are qualified to do that, and we've helped quite a few of our families tulis wasiat. So, and alhamdulillah, I like to say, okay, it's a bit bad to say alhamdulillah, but you know what I mean? The wasiats we've written have cleared the court before. So court accepted our templates and the way we write. So okay. You know what I mean? So how do I say alhamdulillah? Kan? It's a good thing, also it's a bad thing. But we help the families hasten the process.
In a sad sense.
It's a good... so I don't want to dig a hole deeper and jump in. So okay, question, yes. Golden question! Okay. Frankly, if it's straightforward, and this is where on a professional basis, I will tell you, I will assess whether I can do for you in the first place. Kan? Say, baik bukan tanda. Kan? I will assess. My charges is 497 per wasiat, per person. To contrast this to typical law firms, minimum 1,000 to 1,500. My Lina, my Obert got charged $5,000. So for us, we charge about 497 per wasiat, but I will assess whether we can do. Typically, what we also have is, I mentioned the inheritance report. So the report is the who, the what, the how. In the report, we go through the inheritance scenario. Who gets how many percent? What happens if A pass away first? What happens if A and B pass away together? What happens if A is older than B? Side note, I forgot to cover this part. My wife is older than me. If we pass away together, court says she passed away first. Older party die first. Therefore, rumah. Think about it. Both of us pass away together, right? Lina is older than me. House goes to me, distributed to the children and my parents. For those of us, terbalik. Husband older. Husband pass away first. Husband pass away considered first. The younger party inherit. Mother, father here. Mother, father here. And so, which is why I mentioned, the inheritance scenarios are very important because we need to understand. Rumah siapa dapat? Nomination siapa dapat? CPF, insurance, all the other barang-barang that we have, siapa dapat? So that's why the report, which we do for all our clients, is super important. Because then it gives you who, what, and how. Then we tulis all done, you understand clear cut, then we produce a wasiat for you. But wasiat alone, just to answer your question, 497. Couple report is 997. Before discount? No, that is after discount. After discount. You know why we offer discount? Because you all attend the class. Those who tak attend the class, I charge double. Because I nak kena go through. I have to do a class by itself, then I charge. Tu sebab Alhamdulillah ada kerja. Okay folks, so this particular QR code is just an inquiry form. If you do scan the QR code, it will bring you to an online form. You just fill in what questions you have. I will call you back and I'll give you, I see how best I can help you. Okay? It doesn't mean that if I cannot help you, I will refer you out. It doesn't mean everybody I can help. Susah. Okay? Yes?
How much is just for probate?
Probate if you go through a lawyer. We don't do probate because lawyers, we will refer you to either ARLC or BR law, and they range from 2K to 5K. Probate, we cannot do. Okay, folks, I want to say thanks to my two young gentlemen at the back for supporting me. If you do have questions, you can direct it to them as well. If you do have questions, please scan the QR code. Let me know how best I can help you. I've got a stack of name cards here. If you need, my number is there. Phone number, email address also there. It is Asar, so let's listen to the Azan for a bit.
If I'm interested to know more about this, you have online courses part of the...
Ada?
So I just go on the website and check.
I need to update the website, but yes.
Okay.
But yes. Or if you need help, just drop me a text.
Okay.
Drop me a text. We can inshallah help you. Okay, folks. Tak dengar? Was there a question? Tak dengar? Okay. Tak dengar. Okay, folks. I want to thank my two young gentlemen for helping me out. And I want to thank, I think, the most important people lah. Kalau, of course, not the most important. Masjid Maarof super important, yes. not the most important for having us here today. But I think paling penting kalau orang ni semua tak ada, it's just me, Ashraf dengan Ashari je. Kan. I want to thank all of you. Thank you so much for being with me today. I hope I wasn't too boring. And I nak minta maaf kalau I make weird jokes, panggil anak I beruang, some people tak suka, kan. Minta maaf kalau I offended anybody, not my intention. So folks, thank you so much for today. Lovely seeing you all. Find us on Facebook, find us on Instagram. Inshallah we'll see you soon. Thank you so much and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Oh, here you go. Alhamdulillah. Most welcome. Hope you enjoyed the session.
Sikit. Yang tadi kita orang miss, is it a lot? 1 hour is a lot? Apa yang
I would say yes, banyak juga. Banyak juga. But at the end of the day, most of it I covered in the second half is quite relevant. They're quite important. Assalamualaikum, Zali, take care. The first part was actually I covered the court lah, the process, the people involved. But quite important also.
yang kita need to know more is this one, the second part.
I would say both quite important lah. Which is why
You tak ada play now.
print out tak ada.
The slide ni print out tak ada.
Tak ada. Kita punya staff tak
Kita kena
ada.
wait for the second punya.
Boleh kalau nak. Waalaikumsalam.
Second dia lagi.
Masjid Maarof tak tahu bila dia nak buat. Tapi kita ada dengan Islamic Events 3rd and 4th December. I think it's on Zoom. Pergi cari kat Islamic Events. Tadi we had the logo. Same topic but 1.5 days.
Oh, 1.5 days tu full event.
Tu full event memang. Sebab kelas tu I ajar 1.5 days. I pendekkan 2 jam je hari ni. Tu sebab I termengah-mengah.
You mean person yang belajar tu untuk apa sendirinya?
Untuk orang sendiri. Yes, correct.
Yang dapat cert maksud you.
Tak ada, tak.
Cert dekat just untuk pengetahuan.
Pengetahuan je. And we help you with the cases and all that.
So you are not a lawyer.
I'm not lawyer.
But you can write wasiat.
Kan? Sebab wasiat you and I pun boleh tulis.
Kita boleh.
Boleh.
I mean sendiri punya.
You tulis sendiri. Sekejap 497. But you tulis sendiri boleh. Tapi kalau you tak format betul-betul, kadang-kadang boleh reject.
So what I mean, anybody that handwritten wasiat is considered valid.
Valid. Valid.
Kau orang dulu,
Tak.
soal kan tulis. So I ingatkan sekarang is must go tulisan. Not
Tak.
necessary.
It is valid.
Then you still have to have macam witness.
Ada, mesti. Jadi tadi I tulis. Anak tak boleh. Witness must be outside of the family circle. Sebab kalau they are Faraid beneficiary, witness will cause the wasiat to be invalid.
Revoke.
Apa dia?
Dia consider revoke lah.
Revoke, correct.
So witness can be friend, can be any relative.
Male, above the age of 21, Muslim, must have 2.
Male, above 21
And Muslim, must have 2.
and not under Faraid list.
Correct.
But cousin pun boleh. Bila saudara tu
Cousin a bit dangerous because the outer circle.
better outside.
Better outside. Better
Okay,
outside.
one more thing, sebelum macam let's say I confirm nak write wasiat, can I macam have another
Consultation? Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. That's why I say kalau before consult depends on how long.
Maybe just macam 1 hour ke. Pasal to be
1
more
hour,
specific before kita decide lah.
Typically a pre-consult. Faham.
Kadang-kadang my understanding to listen pun a bit slow sikit. That's why I have a big picture, I will write down.
Ambil
I will go back and write down.
exam belum ambil. Gurau.
Let's say consult you for that 1 hour where?
On Zoom. Typically we always do Zoom first. Then I understand your situation. Because typically the consult I always say. Tak comfortable?
Lebih suka macam face to face.
Then boleh but nak kena check my schedule.
Your schedule.
Kita Zoom dah pack. So depends. Some days I am in certain areas or you can come down to our office. You tinggal mana?
I Pasir Ris.
Pasir Ris. Okay. Office kita kat Beach Road.
Beach Road.
Sebab I tinggal kat Jurong.
Oh, you Jurong. Okay, make appointment to
Yes.
dekat.
Then you can come down to our office then we meet you there.
Then this type of talk you tak buat dekat east side.
Depend lah. Ada. Kita pernah buat kat Masjid Kasim. Ada.
But how to know all those
Nak kena check kat masjid. Kita tak tahu.
macam all individual masjid. Jadi member
Unless you go to my website, you join my mailing list, then kadang-kadang kita update. The reason I didn't update for Masjid Maarof sebab Masjid Maarof told me kita dah sold out within a day. Like, then tak payah update. Okay, take care puan. Assalamualaikum. Balang. How many liters is that? Half a liter? What? That's 1 liter.